Good afternoon. Welcome to the April 5th Phoenix City Council meeting. We'll begin with an invocation from Police Chaplain Robert Fesmeyer. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty.
Thank you so much, Chaplain Fesmeyer. It is an important week for so many of our residents in religious observations, and I wish everyone meaningful celebrations. We'll call the formal meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman DeCiccio.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilwoman Guardado.
Here.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Here.
Councilwoman Pastor. Here. Councilwoman Stark.
Here.
Councilman Waring.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ansari.
Here.
Mayor Gallego.
Here. Mario Barajas is with us to provide interpretation. Mario?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Hello, my name is Mario Barajas, and together with my colleague Carmen Cota, we will be serving as today's interpreters for the City Council formal meeting. I'll now take a moment to introduce ourselves to our Spanish-speaking audience. Hola, buenas tardes, bienvenidos a la reunión del Consejo Municipal. Mi nombre es Mario Barajas y estaré sirviendo junto con mi colega Carmen Cota como intérpretes para la reunión de esta tarde. Deseamos pedirles de antemano, si es que van a dar un comentario público, por favor, hable despacio, con claridad y evite tener distracciones de fondo. Finalmente, pause después de cada una o dos oraciones para que podamos interpretar lo que esté diciendo de la manera más completa posible. Gracias. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mario. Will the city clerk please read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G7089 through 7099, S49518, 49529 through 49564 and 49566, and resolutions 22108 through 22109.
Will the city attorney please explain the role of public comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on agenda items. Comments must be related to the agenda item and the action being considered by the council. General comments that go beyond the scope of the agenda item must be made in the citizen comment session at the end of the agenda. The City Council and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to pending investigations, claims, or litigation. City Code requires speakers to present their comments in a respectful and courteous manner. Profane language, threats, or personal attacks on members of the public, council members, or staff are not allowed. A person who violates these rules will lose the opportunity to continue to speak.
Thank you. Today is a milestone council meeting, and I wanted to turn to Councilman DeCiccio for some remarks.
Well, thank you, Mayor. It's a milestone because in about a week and a half, I'll be Citizen Sal, rather than Councilman Sal. And most people know that I don't like to use the title anyways. But I do want to thank everybody. I mean, we've had, it's strange. It's very an emotional time too. I mean, I've been doing this for close to 20 years now. One of the longest, if not the longest, that's ever done it on the council. But it's also been a time that it gives you a chance to do some major reflection. And time goes by quick. It's like that Kenny Chesney song where he says, don't blink. because time goes by so quickly. And it even says that in the Bible. It talks about a blink of an eye, and that's how fast our lives go. And it does go fast. And it also makes you reflect back and be able to look at those things. And so I started putting together a list of accomplishments and things like that. And it was over 17 pages. But, after many years, you do get those. But each of those accomplishments were done because of so many people that were there. You never can do things on your own. And that's probably the most important thing that I was able to find out, is that you look at these things and you realize all the people that made those things happen. Even though they're accomplishments that attach to your name, they're not accomplishments that you do on your own. You can't do anything on your own. It's virtually impossible. You have to be able to have a good group of people behind you. From my end of it, I've been blessed with, God blessed me with a great family. My mom and dad, who helped me in my first election, they couldn't speak English that well. Most of you may know that, or don't know. My first language was Italian. I couldn't speak English until I got in the first grade, so my parents were from there. My entire office is a family of immigrants. We all are to some level, right? But they're all first generation. And so my mom and dad would get up at 5 o'clock every morning in the first election because no one thought I had a chance of winning. They'd get up at 5 o'clock and they would go door to door till about 8:30 in the morning every day. And they were afraid because of their accent that they might, I get emotional talking, and I'm sorry, that they might lose votes for me. But instead they got me votes because they were such good people, So they did that. My wife at the time, Debbie, and my children had, we were always at the front of things. And the family's always there in the train in the back, and they're the ones that get all the bumps. Everyone thinks that the politicians are the ones that get under attack, but it's really the families. So, when people come under attack, it's not them. It's like our police officers that are here today. When we end up attacking them for whatever reason, it's not them that we attack their families. And that's really hard on those people. But I've been blessed because we have an amazing staff here. Jeff, you have probably one of the best teams I've ever seen. I've had quite a few administrations to go through, but your team is really, really good. And they're very caring, and they do want to move the ball forward and make the city a better place. Even though we have political disagreements up here, they're just great to work with. I've worked with how many mayors now? I don't even know. I was starting to count them, and I started thinking, how many mayors have I gone through? But they really do care. It's not what you believe philosophically at times, but it is what you represent and how much you care. For those of us, most people would tell you we get along really, really well up here. It doesn't sound like it sometimes, but when we leave this dais, we do get along, and you have a very caring team. I've also been lucky to have and blessed to have amazing staff. My staff has been the best. They're just very driven to get things done and very protective of our community. And I've been very lucky to have them. My chief of staff right now is Felicita Mendoza. She's just an incredible person. Just an incredible person, and just driven, and yells at me all the time. So that's usually a good sign of a good person who's always, pushing you to be better than you should be and you could be. So I do want to thank everybody. I don't mean to make it long, but it's been a long ride, and I really appreciate everything that everyone's ever done for me, which is a lot. You've been very good to me. All of you have. Jeff, Lori, Julie, you're incredible people, and we're just blessed to have people like this here. And in the staff that we have here, I look around at all the staffers that I've worked with, and they're just good people. And that's the one takeaway I think that people should take when they look at what the city of Phoenix is who are the people behind the city of Phoenix and the ones that drive this agenda here. And they're just good people. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And I have particularly enjoyed getting to know your daughters, and it feels like I've gotten a little bit of a chance to watch them grow up. So we are excited to see what's next for them. Councilman Waring.
Well, Sal, the retirement article about this day came out like 2 years ago. I never totally understood that. The people who are laughing obviously know because that seems like kind of premature, but in any case, I'll kind of reiterate what I said to them at the time. You've been a total change agent for the city, mixing things up. I think that's healthy, and I really think you've been a leader in that you've taken on challenges that maybe others wouldn't have taken on and been successful. But even when you weren't, you spurred the conversation that I think made the city better and certainly challenged. They probably didn't always appreciate it. Heck, sometimes probably I didn't always appreciate it. But you challenged the conventional thinking, and I think that's something that is very admirable in most people, but certainly for an elected official when it's easier to maybe take the safer path. So you've been doing this a long time, and I can't believe you stuck it out for this long, but good for you for doing it. But enjoy your retirement. But it's been a pleasure and a lot of fun, and you'll be missed.
Councilwoman Gordado.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, likewise, thank you so much, Sal, for all of your hard work. I know when I was running for office and we met for the first time, just thank you for all of your support and all of your help and everything that I've been able to learn. 4 years have gone by really fast. So just want to thank you for all of your support and all the different things that we actually were able to work on together in the last 4 years. And also enjoyed getting to know your daughters as well, and the things that we've been able to do together. I think, a lot of that stuff, I'm going to take and continue to be able to apply at the city. And yeah, 20 years is a long time. So thank you for your service and all the great things that you've done. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I also want to say it's been a pleasure working with you. I think what you said about, not necessarily always agreeing philosophically, I think coming on the council a couple of years ago, I had an impression of what that would mean and, political party and, kind of assumed. And I remember a story, you probably don't even remember it, but I remember one of my very first council meetings, I had pulled an item on something about electric vehicles, and I was just commenting to say something good on it, and I remember then you had comments, and I just kind of assumed that they would be negative and that there would be something about that you were going to say, and you were actually very, very positive. And I think that for me that was a wake-up call and a reminder that there's so much that, despite political party, we can agree on and can work on together. And I think that's been one of the areas where we have collaborated, and it's been a real pleasure, and I really appreciate that, we've been able to do that in the short time that we did get to overlap. So thank you for your service to the city.
Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you. Sal, it's been great to get to know you. I think people often think of political spectrums left to right, but I'm a strong believer in that there's a rich to poor or a corporate to people's interest. And I really think there was areas where we're thinking about the people where you spoke truth and you spoke about your upbringing now and your life situations. And so really appreciative of that. 2 weeks ago, you took a tremendous stand that are going to support working families in this city for a long time. So appreciated getting to know you. Similar to others, we didn't agree politically a lot. But really appreciate your honesty and you always thinking for the little people and taking on the corporation. So thank you for your service.
Well, and Carlos, thank you too. I mean, we didn't agree philosophically, but the thing is we got to know each other really well. Ralph Nader wrote a really good book, and you really ought to look at it. It's When the Left Meets the Right, and it talks about workers' rights and things that the left and the right can actually agree on. And I think we found some of that commonality up here in quite a few issues, and Betty knows for sure that we found a lot of ways to make things work together. And it's been great working with you too. We need people from all sides to be able to come up with ideas. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I do appreciate working with you as well, and everybody else that's been on this council. Yasmin, you've been great. Betty, amazing. Mayor, all of it. And Jim too. All of you, sorry.
Thank you so much. Seeing no additional, Councilwoman.
Sure. Okay. Councilman DeCiccio, you and I most often don't meet eye to eye, but there are certain gray areas where we do meet eye to eye, and we can come to an agreement and collaborate and make good policy. I think being elected is about making good policy and working together, even though sometimes philosophically we're not there, but there's items that philosophically we can get there. And so that's what I appreciate. I also appreciate your honesty. When you say, I'm not there, and okay, move on, go to the next person. And when you decide that there's sometimes a moment where there can be a discussion of persuasion, of getting you to the middle, you're open, at least you're open to listen and to hear. Doesn't necessarily mean you'll get there. But I would like to say, I believe that with all our council colleagues sitting here, that's what we should do and what we should be making is good policy. So I appreciate that. And I just in general want to thank you for your service and thank your family for their sacrifice for you being in service, because it does take a toll on the family. So appreciate you and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Laura.
Councilman O'Brien.
Councilman DeCiccio, I also want to thank you. I appreciate that as a newer council member, you took time to share some of your wisdom from your 20 years, and it is a huge sacrifice. So thank you for your service, for your family service. Your girls are adorable, and it was nice to get to know them at a couple of events. So again, thank you for passing on your wisdom.
Councilwoman Stark.
So I think I probably know Sal more as a staffer, and we worked on process improvements, and he drove me pretty crazy during that time. But I have the best story about Sal. So one of his staff was leaving. They had a going away party. He invited me and his two little girls, and they were little at the time. And he's like, girls, tell Deborah all about Obama. And they're like, we don't trust Obama and his policies. Oh, come on, I'm telling the story. And I went, Sal, I got to babysit him. I got to set him straight. And he was like, no. But you know what? I mean, we really had some great times together. But I think probably the most significant thing that we did together was the process improvements.
Yeah, we did really well.
Thank you. We'll next go to our agendized item with item number 1. Vice Mayor,
Mayor?
Okay. Councilmember Garcia.
Yeah, I won't take too long, I promise. It's also my last meeting as a council member, so just wanted to express gratitude to staff and everyone that we worked with. I know it's hard sometimes with different opinions that we have up here, but some of the projects we've been able to realize in the last 4 years have been amazing. It's been great getting to know you all and working with everyone. Also, the staff in our office, District 8 office, Adriana, Mariana, Liz, Andrea, and everybody else who's worked on the staff. I want to just appreciate them and all the work we did. You know, the election didn't turn out how we thought or hoped it would be, but I leave this office knowing I stuck to my values. I always expressed the truth and worked as hard as I could for the things I thought were important and for the people that weren't being represented in District 8 and the whole city. So just wanted to give that and thank you, and obviously to all my colleagues, appreciate your support and the work we've done. And if there's an ability to do one final request, we have an option today at the end of the agenda to support some families that are going to be evicted, and I hope, as my colleagues, you find it in your heart to give them some extra time for their children to figure out what they're going to do next. Thank you.
Thank you for those important remarks. Shall we recognize our 2 council members outgoing with a round of applause? Councilmember DeCiccio.
Yeah, so Carlos, I've gotten to know Carlos pretty well since we've battled a few things, but he's genuinely a good person. I know he's been driven to do things, and that drive is there. He's always been consistent. So what you see is what you get, and you know what I've always maintained is that you do need, you know, you can never, if you have a body that always says the same thing, you're going to make major mistakes as an organization, as a community, and as a city. You need people to tell you why you're wrong. You may not always agree with it, but you do need that there. And Carlos has provided a conscience to the council here. And he's been extremely successful. I know people don't think that or see it that way, but he has probably been one of the most successful council members I've ever seen in this body, of being able to get done what he was looking to get done and get accomplished. So Carlos, I am going to miss working with you. You know, I just think that you're a very upfront person, and just like people have said about me, the same I could say about you, is that what you see is what you get. And when you say you're going to do something, you just do it. And you don't think of the politics behind it, or how it could affect you, or how it could affect your family. And I believe that some of the positions you've taken probably were hurtful to you, too, and to your family. I don't think people realize that, of how hard some of those things must have been on you and your family as well. And I get it. I didn't go through it like you did, but you went through it. And it's just, you know, from my end, I've just given you a high level of respect for what you believe in.
Thank you. We'll now go to Councilwoman Guardado.
Yeah, I think just echoing a little bit, just everyone has said, I think we're going to miss the two of you, right, from the two sides of the spectrum, and just working with the two of you. I think we, in the last 4 years, we've accomplished a lot of different things that we agreed on, some things that we didn't, and of course, Carlos and I just agreed on a lot of other different things, on being able to set up a health office, being able to do everything that we did with the ARPA money, and becoming incredibly creative on how we actually were able to come up with buckets and lists, remembering our meetings till like 10, 11 o'clock at night with Councilmember Garcia and Councilwoman Pastor back in 2020 or 2019 or whenever that was, you know, and just being able to figure that out. So definitely gonna miss the two of you and all the work that we did. Thank you.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Well, Councilman Garcia, let's talk about equity, and equity of time, and equity of space, and equity of being able to speak, especially community. And I want to thank you for advocating for that. I also don't believe everybody knows the story of how, when COVID happened, how many of you felt how COVID happened and saw how it shut down. But many of you don't realize that when COVID happened, we were in our offices day in and day out trying to figure out how we were going to solve our city problems, and how when ARPA dollars were coming down, where the money needed to go. It was really Councilman Garcia who pulled a group together, a collective together, to really map out and be strategic on how we needed to get the dollars to the community. And each one of us had an area of interest that we wanted to make sure the dollars got to the community. I don't know about Councilwoman Guardado, but I would go home, everything shut down, right? So we're going home at 11 without eating. And I would go home so stressed out, thinking about the families and what they were going through, because at least I had a space to go home to. And at least I had the ability to have some money in my pocket and still had a job. Meanwhile, people were losing their jobs left and right. Rent was becoming an issue. Eviction was becoming an issue. Infrastructure was becoming an issue. Housing was becoming an issue. And he came in and said, we're organizing right now. His organizing skills came about, and we did it. And I had already sat for one term. And the second term, here we go into COVID. I don't think because of that, we were able to do all the things that you see today in the city of Phoenix, along with our other colleagues being able to vote on it and making it happen. Because we don't take credit in the sense of, it's me, I did it. It's a we in doing it. So I want to thank you for that, because you represent community. You have the grace of everybody's voice in the community. And I just want to say, I appreciate you. So thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I also want to thank Councilmember Garcia for his service. I truly believe the city is a more just and a more thoughtful place because of your work and your service. From my early days on the Phoenix City Council, probably during that period between election and being inaugurated, I remember you were so gracious to let me sit in on your team meetings and kind of just understand how you went about hiring individuals, how you ran everything, how things got done, and I really appreciate your guidance and your support of me throughout this. It's been amazing working with you on the areas of the district that we share, like Levine and downtown. I think for any Levine residents, I think, we've been hearing so much positive feedback about the momentum there with new parks and on the Levine 5K we did together and behavioral health services. So really going to miss you, and I think thank you for being, a moral compass on the Phoenix City Council.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all the important comments. We'll now go to item number 1. Vice Mayor.
Motion to approve mayor and city council boards and commissions nominations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Passes unanimously. Thank you to our residents who serve our city as commissioners. I believe we have 2 individuals today to be sworn in, so we will administer the oath of office. Please raise your right hand and state after me. I state your name.
Greg Freeman.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and defend them against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of the office of
North Mountain Village Planning Committee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you for taking your oath. If you could go behind the dais, the council members would like to personally congratulate you. Congratulations and thank you for serving our community. The Phoenix City Council serves in an advisory role on liquor licenses to the state of Arizona, so we will go to that portion of our meeting next. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion on liquor license applications?
Motion to approve items 2 through 32.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Passes unanimously. City Clerk, are we ready for ordinances, resolutions, new business, and planning and zoning?
Yes, Mayor.
Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve items 33 through 93, except the following: items 59, 74, 82, 87, 88, 89, 91, 92, noting that item 85 is being withdrawn. Item 89 is as revised. Item 90 is being continued to August 30th, 2023. Item 93 is an add-on. And excluding these items for virtual public comment, items 87, 89, 93. And can the clerk confirm if there are any other items that should be excluded for in-person public comment?
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, excluding also item 39. Excluding item 39.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Guardado,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Ansari,
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Next is item 39, which we have two residents here to speak. Do we have a motion on item 39?
Move to approve item 39.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We will turn to public testimony. We'll begin with Elizabeth Torres, followed by Marty Winkler.
Buenas tardes. Venía yo en
Good
apoyo
afternoon.
de la número 39, pero estoy escuchando que la cancelaron. No sé si todavía me van a dejar hablar.
I was waiting for 39, but I heard it was going to be canceled, and I don't know if you're still allowing me to speak.
Yes. Item 39 is a settlement of a claim with the fire department.
¿Mande? Sí. Sí, sobre eso.
Yes, and I would like to speak in regards to that.
Por favor.
¿Sí voy a poder? Sí, ok. La razón que yo vine a hablar sobre este artículo en particular porque se me hizo, y discúlpenme, ridículo que lo lleven a votación.
So the reason I'm here to speak about this article, and excuse me what I'm about to say, but I feel that it's ridiculous.
Porque esta es una ley que existe para el ciudadano, para la comunidad. Porque los que trabajan en la ciudad tienen que llevar a votación si van a pagar o no le van a pagar a la víctima.
So I believe that this is a law that it's required to cover citizens and people that live in the city and work for the city. I don't know why it has to go to vote if they're going to repay the victim or not.
Las personas esto es una ley que ya está constituida, las personas que van a doblar a la derecha, si no tienen cuidado, son los culpables.
So this is a law already. People that are driving are going to turn right, have to turn right. If they don't, then they're breaking the law.
No quiero pensar que esto sea algo que por la mamá que es de la víctima se esté llevando como, no lo quiero pensar que sea algo como que venganza.
I don't want to think that this is retaliation from the victim's mother's part. I don't want to think that.
Ustedes estuvieron hablando hace un rato de que están aquí para las leyes. Ustedes están en esos asientos porque la comunidad los puso.
You were here speaking that you're here to talk about the law and pass the laws, and you guys are sitting at your seats because you were elected to sit there.
Y eso es lo que les vengo a pedir, que empiecen a cumplir las leyes.
And that's what I'm here to ask you, to start complying with the law.
Este accidente pasó hace ya más de un año.
That accident happened more than a year ago.
Y todavía no le han pagado a la víctima y todavía lo trajeron a votar.
The victim has not been compensated, and now it's brought here for vote.
Pero estoy pensando que ya lo acaban ustedes de cancelar. Espero que ya ahora sí le van a pagar a la víctima.
Well, but I guess you guys have canceled that, so I hope that now you're going to pay the victim.
Y quiero saber si los que trabajan en la ciudad son como cualquier ciudadano normal que cometemos un error, un accidente o violamos una ley.
I want to know that if people that work for the city are just like an average citizen, if you break the law, make a mistake, that you have the same consequences.
Y espero que ya ese caso pues sea cerrado y el muchacho reciba su compensación.
I hope the case has now settled and that the young man receives his compensation.
Porque él fue el dañado, fue su carro dañado y
He was the one hurt and his car was the one that was hurt.
esperemos que las leyes se sigan aplicando todos parejos.
And I hope the laws apply to everyone equally.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Guardado.
thank you. So just to clarify, item 39 is a settlement claim, correct? Lori?
Mayor and council, that is correct.
Okay, because I think that's what the confusion, seems like that was what the confusion was. So just, if we can just translate that is what we're doing. And this, on item 39, is that we're paying the claim.
And that we didn't cancel it, Mayor.
And that we didn't cancel it. O sea, lo único que quería aclarar es de que a la persona que vino a hablar ahorita, el artículo 39 es de que se va a pagar lo que dijo que se va a pagar y no se está cancelando para la persona que vino y habló aquí enfrente. So I was just translating what I just said. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Our final testimony will be from Marty.
My name is Marty Winkler. I was looking on today's agenda and was surprised to see a settlement for Monge, spelled M-O-N-G-E, versus City of Phoenix. I know Monge is not a common name. I know Veronica Monge, and I found there is nothing listed online under Monge versus City of Phoenix. I searched under her family member and found her son, Ethan Monge, versus City of Phoenix against Phoenix fireman Terrence Nellis. I would have to pay online to see the rest of the lawsuit or go to Maricopa County Superior Court to pay for a copy. The brief Unicourt record online doesn't give details, but Ethan Monge is probably receiving a very low settlement for damages or injuries regarding the liability of Phoenix fireman Terrence Nellis. Ethan Monge probably had to sign an NDA non-disclosure agreement not to disclose what actually happened in order to be paid for his damages or injuries. This is just another form of corruption and cover-up by the City of Phoenix that very few people would know how to find this lawsuit unless they would be able to find it online or go to numerous courts to ask for the records. This is also how they cover up many lawsuits and settlements, including Phoenix Fire and Phoenix Police, with the most minimum notation of the lawsuit on the agenda with not even the person's first name or case number. The corruption is systemic by the City of Phoenix, including my own horrific assault by Officer Jason Gillespie, who almost killed me with his bare hands over calling the police for help. Justin for Ethan Monge, Justin for Marty Winkler.
Councilwoman Pastor.
On these settlements, where can the public see where the settlements are and what the lawsuit's about?
So Mayor and Council, they can put in a public records request if they would like to get more information. We would give publicly available records. I don't think there's any public posting of details about the settlement other than what we present to Council.
Okay. I guess my second follow-up question would be, how do we change the process where people could find what the settlement is, even if it's very limited, but where they could, or do we have to, us as a council, make that a process or a procedure?
Well, and Mayor and Council, I mean, as pointed out by the public also, if it's a case that has been filed in court, then they can go to the court to get those records. I'm not sure about the comment where she's indicating that she would have to pay to get those records.
Do we have to pay for public records?
We do not have to pay for public records through the city.
Okay. How long does it take if I submit a public record today, how long will it take to get the information?
Mayor, Councilwoman Pastor, members of the council, it depends on what the request is. Some requests are more extensive than others. A fairly concise, quick request of readily available documents shouldn't take more than a week or two to get that back to the requester. But if it's a much more extensive request, it can take much longer.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
Julie, in the information that is made public in our agenda, that is the court case number that is listed, correct? So that a citizen could use that court case number to go search for court records in the court system.
Mayor and council member, that is correct.
And do we always publish those court case numbers when we do a settlement?
I believe we do always publish those when we have a lawsuit that's filed versus a notice of claim, and then it would indicate that we're settling a claim.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Item 59 is the Affordable Connectivity Program Outreach Service Contract Award and Citywide Wireless Network Project IGA. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 59.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, noting that Councilwoman Pastor will not be participating in the vote. It's a very exciting item. We're trying to help people get better connected and bridge the digital divide, and want to thank Common Sense Media for partnering with us and all the work that you have already done. And Alana Lowry from Common Sense is here and available to speak if anyone has questions. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
We next move to item 74, Phoenix Suns non-standard crosswalk markings. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve item 74.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll turn to Councilwoman Pastor for comments.
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate the Suns on doing this. 2020, there was a point in time where many people wanted to do the non-standard, or I guess it wouldn't be non-standard, but crosswalk markings, and it became a very political fight at a point where most of us have, I don't know if most of us have experienced this, but where we were receiving death threats regarding the sidewalks and murals being painted on the sidewalks. And so I'm just glad the Phoenix Suns was able to get this through and without any controversy, because it does take me back to that point where there were death threats on several of us regarding some language or policy that we wanted to change. So congratulations to the Suns.
Thank you. It's exciting that this vote comes as they have qualified for the playoffs. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Garcia. Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring. Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 9-0.
Thank you.
Mayor.
I will turn to Councilwoman Stark.
Mayor, if I could, I'd like to take item 93 before our zoning agenda. I'll make a motion to that.
Councilwoman Stark for a motion to take item 93 out of order. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. So we will next go to item 93, moratorium on development of 3 mobile home parks.
Mayor, may I make an additional motion?
Councilwoman Stark.
I'd like to make a motion for no comment on item 93. We held a lengthy meeting on this issue 2 weeks ago. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Councilmember Garcia.
I don't even know what to say to this. the least you could do is listen to people, especially people who are about to be evicted from their homes. You have children here who some left school early. You have people who left their jobs here. And so I would plead with my colleagues to at least let them speak about what they're going through. It might have been tough for you to hear it 2 weeks ago, but that's part of the job. And so it's really disappointing that you're wanting to quiet the people that are here who are fighting for their livelihoods. I'll speak more to the item later, but I just wanted to speak to that, and you should be embarrassed that you're asking for this.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Guardado, followed by Councilwoman Pastor.
Thank you. Well, I would like to make a secondary motion. I understand that Arizona revised statute does allow cities to impose development moratoriums.
Mayor, I'm sorry. This is a procedural motion, so I think that there's no substitute motion on the procedural motion is essentially rules of council procedure, so we need to vote on that motion first.
So I will turn to you, Councilwoman Guardado, after we have voted on the procedural motion for your motion. Councilwoman Pastor.
I have a question. So we're doing a procedural motion. So are you saying we have to vote on that motion before then there's a secondary motion? Or we need to vote on this motion and then we however it goes, and then we can make another motion?
So, Mayor and Council, yes, this is a procedural motion under the rules of council procedure to suspend public comment. So, on those types of motions, you need to vote on that motion. And then other motions can be made on the item or other procedural motions as might apply.
Okay, so then my second question to that is we vote on the motion. No, it's discussion right now.
You can discuss the item that is on motion right now on whether to suspend the public comment.
Oh, okay, so the motion, could you please clarify what the motion was, because I couldn't hear it? I want to hear it from staff of what the motion is.
Mayor, members of the council, Councilwoman Stark made a motion to not have public comments, is my understanding.
I didn't hear you.
To not have public comment on item number 93.
Okay, so the procedural motion is to not allow to have public comment. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so right now I can have a discussion, I guess. I'm actually kind of in shock.
So we will, for the substance of so we will vote right now on how we will handle the item, and then after that I'll turn to Councilwoman Guardado for a motion on the substance of the item. So any comments now on the first motion is appropriate, but on the general topic of the moratorium, we will turn to you after Councilwoman Guardado makes her motion.
So I'm speaking at the fact that we're going to silence people. That's what I'm speaking on. And that the procedural motion is to shut you up. And everybody has a right in democracy to be able to have a voice. And if I wanted to live in a communist country, then I know what I'm going to be subjected to and be silent. That's what this procedural motion's about. And I want to be very clear and on the record of what is happening, because they don't want to hear you. They also don't want to hear the fact that you're going to be evicted May 1, that there's another set of evictions May 28th, and possibly another set of evictions June 30th or 31st. So I am in complete shock of this procedural motion, so thank you.
Mayor, can I speak on that?
Councilwoman Guardado.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that have happened since the last meeting. A lot of people have been retaliated against. A lot of people, have been threatened since the last meeting. I'm a little bit also still in shock that we're actually going to do this to the people that we supposedly represent. And maybe they don't look, for many of the people on this dais, they don't look like the people that they think might vote for them, and that's the reason they want to shut them down. This is really upsetting that we wouldn't let people speak. There's a lot of things that have happened that we need to hear from them. And then we're shocked when the state ledge tries to take away our rights from being able to make decisions on what happens at the city level. This is absurd. I get it that we might not all agree on what's happening, but this is absurd that we would shut people's voices the way that we're doing it right now. We have a room full of people that probably took time off from work, that probably are not making money right now because they're sitting here. And I don't think that it's about, I don't think we were going to hear the same stories. I think it was just follow-up on all the retaliation that they have lived since the last meeting that we had. So yes, this is very upsetting, and I'm just still like in shock that this is where this council is moving. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call on the motion from Councilwoman Stark.
DeCiccio.
I'm voting yes because we've heard the case, and I'm just be very blunt. I just don't think it's fair to the individuals that are here to give them a false sense of hope. And, well, because at the end of the day, I'm just letting you know. I mean, I always believe the public has a right to redress and a right to address it, but we've been through the same testimony for probably 5-6 months now. Well,
Councilman DeCiccio has the floor.
Okay. I'm okay, Mayor. If they want to yell, I'm good with it. But so I'm going to be voting yes on it, Mayor.
Garcia. Garcia. Garcia.
We will go to a 5-minute recess. We will reconvene the April 5th formal meeting of the Phoenix City Council and continue with roll call.
Garcia.
May I explain my vote?
Please do.
Share the frustrations. I hear all the folks, and I never thought this was coming. You actually caught me off guard, Mayor. This was even lower than you've ever gone before. To Councilwoman Stark, I've come to expect this from you. I think Councilwoman O'Brien, I would just throw caution of where you're going, following the mayor in this direction and getting this type of advice. For Councilman Robinson, who's in the room, and Councilwoman Keisha, I hope as you join this council, you don't follow this trajectory where you're not allowing people to speak, where you're not taking their lives and the issues that are happening to them for granted and actually listen to them. Absolutely voting no for this, it makes no sense. I think this is a very important vote, especially after last week where the actual item was never voted on. There was a similar level of trickery that was played for the council to vote on something that staff was already doing. And so to not be able to have a conversation and to not allow people to speak to the need of why they need a moratorium is cowardly. Just like those folks that didn't show up last week to defend their positions as to why they're evicting people, this council is showing cowardness and not listening to these families. So that's a no.
Guardado.
No.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
I'm in shock right now. And you know why I'm in shock? Because it's poor, brown people, white people that are getting evicted. And it's the poor people that are here that live in poverty at this moment because they're not able at this moment to move into an apartment because right now our market rate and our apartments are above everything. And this is how we get treated. Secondly, the reason why I signed the 3-person memo was because to have a dialogue, to be able to ask those owners of those trailer parks to provide more time. And if it meant that one vote was able to pass a moratorium, to be able to get us into discussions with those owners, to give more times for families that are looking for housing, that need to get on vouchers, that need to figure out how they're going to go to the state and get additional money to move their trailer homes if they're movable. And I wanted to take a vote to be able to help them get that time. Not only that, it is upsetting to my core and to my moral value that this is happening in the city of Phoenix when we always pride ourselves to have compassion, equity, and grace, and the integrity of helping people. This is wrong. And I wasn't going to give false hope. Last week, it was spoken about, will we go against the state? Will you vote against something against the state? The state does this. This is the law. This is what we do. This is wrong. We don't want to do that. We're scared. Well, you know what? People stood up for the Jim Crow laws. And people stood up for the Jim Crow laws that were wrong. And change happened. But they had to go up against a system that wasn't meant for them to be in. So, this is wrong. I'm a no.
Stark?
Yes.
Waring? I'm sorry.
No.
Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 5-4.
We next will turn to Councilwoman Guardado for her motion.
I think it's so I would like to make a motion to approve a moratorium. So first I had some questions around the moratorium before I make the motion. So from what I understand, and I don't know who can answer this, in accordance with Arizona Revised Statute, Chapter 9, Section 46306, Standards for Enactment Moratoriums, this means that the city will provide at least 30-day notice to the public of hearing to adopt a moratorium. The city shall make findings justifying the need for the moratorium, and we could hold another public hearing to adopt a moratorium based on these findings. Is that true?
Mayor and council, yes. So the state statute does govern us with what action that you want to take today, and you would need to pass, or put forth a motion to direct staff to comply with the required notice under the state statutes.
Okay, thank you. So based on state law, the moratorium will remain in effect for 120 days. After that time, another public hearing will be held to determine if we needed another 120 days. Is that accurate?
Mayor, Councilwoman Guardado, if I could interject for a moment here. I think the option that the council is presented with today would direct staff to go forward and do a study to ascertain if we can make a case under state law for a moratorium. State statute requires that you have to evaluate it and then make a case, advertise it for 30 days, and bring the report to council after the advertising period for the council to take action. And then at that point, the council could decide a time frame of which it would be enacted. And so it's not just the 30-day notice. Staff would have to do an evaluation of whether or not there's criteria under state law that would have to take place as well. And we do have Andy Abrams here, who is a attorney that is advising the city in this matter as well. So if there are questions for him, that would be good to ask those.
So with that, I would like to make a motion in accordance with these legal guidelines that staff go back, figure out the moratorium, do the public meeting, bring it back for us to be able to vote on this. Because I think the goal here is not to make, the goal here is to making sure that people can stay housed until they're able to find a place to stay. We understand that there are certain laws that do not protect folks, but I think this moratorium, could help people at least until they're able to find a place to stay. So overall, our goal is to keep families in housing. If mobile home park residents are able to find housing earlier than that, I am happy for us to reconsider this item and remove the moratorium sooner. Does that make sense?
Mayor and Councilman Guardado, I just want to make sure that it's clear that the council cannot enact a moratorium tonight. And so
right.
Your motion includes a discussion that if there's a resolution found, then the moratorium would be lifted. But there's no moratorium now because that is not something that's on the council agenda. So until staff could do a study, come up with a report, advertise, then go to council, then there could be a discussion about a moratorium. So until that happens, there's no moratorium. I want to make sure that that's clear.
Yeah, advertise it with the 30 days, talk to the folks, find the findings, and then for us to be able to enact it, and then being able to keep people housed, so that can help us keep people housed until they're able to find a place to stay.
To bring something back for the council to evaluate.
Right.
I think what you have heard from us and our attorney in the past is that we don't believe that legally it's going to meet those statutory requirements. And so that will be a challenge that we will have to figure out if there's a way to address that. And so I want to be clear for the public who is watching and the council on what you're voting on, that there are very defined criteria in state statute that talks about its new development and it's the impact that it places on public facilities that enable the city to enact a moratorium. And those are things like water and sewer infrastructure that can't handle the new apartments that would be built, for example, to provide some background for the council.
Right, but we can take those 30 days to evaluate, to hold the meetings, to hopefully help find the findings, to be able to enact a moratorium. And if we're able to find housing for folks, then we are able to lift that. I'm not saying that we're voting on that today. I'm saying that we give ourselves those 30 days that we can legally take to help people to be able to extend this and to be able to find the findings to be able to provide folks with that moratorium.
So, Mayor, Councilwoman Guardado, I want to be clear that the 30 days is once a report is done, we would then publish the report and advertise for a council discussion about whether or not the legal requirements in state statute can be met. And so it's not we can't
Ellen,
find the findings.
I think we
have to
understand
figure
that.
out how to make
but
that happen.
I just want to be clear that that is what legally we can do, and that's what I'm asking. Right? According to Julie, that is what we can do.
So, Mayor and Council, so what you can do today is direct staff to provide a required study to justify imposition of a moratorium, and then direct staff to publish the required notice and schedule the adoption of a moratorium. I think what we're not clear about is you're saying 30 days in order to keep people in their housing, but the moratorium wouldn't be in effect, or there's no stay on any of the eviction until, while we go through that process.
That's right. Yes.
So
that is the motion.
And Mayor and Councilman Guerrero, we do have a brief PowerPoint that kind of lays out those.
Alan, just like we're not letting people speak, we're not going to go through this PowerPoint again, right? That's the motion what Julie just identified. Is there?
Second.
Move forward with that.
Councilman DeCiccio.
So I just want to be really clear. I mean, this is when I want to make sure that, I wish individuals were here. When we're saying a moratorium, it doesn't stop people from being evicted. It just doesn't stop it. And that has been the goal of the individuals that are here, is not to get evicted. So it's a moratorium on development. And I want to make sure at least people that are hearing this hear this. And when I said that they're being, that this would be just kind of a false hope, is because by the end of April, there's a good chance most of them will be gone out of at least one of the trailer parks. I don't know about the other ones. But I just want to give a thought here to the council and everybody else that's here, and which I've been very supportive of, is that $2.5 million that we have. It didn't dawn on me until afterwards that it was only for services. I mean, if we wanted to make it as a direct investment, I'd be all over that. I mean, I would vote for that, as if it meant, as long as it was distributed equally amongst the other individuals. But yeah, what was it, Ann? Go ahead.
Councilman, we just couldn't hear you. You faded away a little bit from your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Plus, I'm mumbling a little bit, but which I don't normally do. It's that the Italian nature me prevents me from mumbling, right? So, what I was saying is that the $2.5 million that we had dedicated in the last vote that we had, that we talked about, and we moved forward, if we were to allow that to be used for actual disbursements for those individuals to be able to find housing, like monies rather than services, I think we'd be better off doing that, and it makes it a softer landing for a lot of individuals that are looking for another home, that it's expensive to live right now, right? And if we're looking to solve the problem, we just use that 2.5 to, provide housing for them, where they get, use it as a voucher or however else we can legally do that with the COVID monies rather than service. And I think we can do that, can we not? Rather than service oriented? It's more of a question now.
Mayor, members of the council, I think as we're exploring how to use the $2.5 million, some of it is being used for services, and I believe, and Lori can correct me if I'm wrong, some of it is also intended to be utilized where possible for down payment assistance and rental assistance. The challenge that we have is that it's ARPA funding, and ARPA funding does not avail itself to folks that are not have legal standing, and that is the challenge that the council has been made aware of and has been trying to work around for the past 3 years as it pertains to ARPA.
So, Mayor.
Councilman Pastor.
So what Councilman DeCiccio was stating of the 2.5, we are doing, and we have been doing for the last 3 years. And the reason why I'm speaking about it is because we have been doing it, and we've been walking hand in hand. Those council members that are in this fight have been walking hand in hand with each individual and tenant to get them what they need. The bottom line is we need more time. Our stock is not out there. Our housing stock isn't there. Some of the services, they don't qualify, or they have to move to a different qualification in order to get what they need to get qualified. Paperwork that is needed, they need to go stand in line for hours to get the paperwork and then wait. It's time. And that's what I don't understand why people don't get. But of course, people don't get it if they're not in this situation.
Councilman Ansari, or Vice Mayor.
I just, sorry if this is repetitive, I just wanted a clarification from Julie so I understand the motion. So can you just explain one more time what voting yes would mean?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Mayor and Council Member. So you're directing staff to go out and do a required study to justify the imposition of a moratorium. And so staff would proceed down that path. And then you're also directing staff to publish the required notice and schedule the adoption at the next available council agenda. Again, of course, assuming that there's a study to support it, or at least if council wants to proceed at that point.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Councilman O'Brien.
Thank you. And further clarification, Julie, on that, is that a secondary motion, a substitute motion? I'm not sure what. I just want to make sure.
That was just a motion.
So did we not have a motion on the floor?
Councilman Guardado's motion
is the only motion.
Is the only motion.
I thought I heard secondary, and that was what confused me. And then to that point regarding a study to justify a moratorium, should staff conduct a study, and I believe some research has, at least a little bit has been done to say that we don't think that this is legal, and it is not justifiable under the state statute, where does that leave us then?
Mayor and council, I would suggest if we have legal issues that I would suggest that this go to an e-session for discussion of any of those legal issues.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And just to be very clear, a moratorium does not prevent anyone from losing their housing. Staff has recommended that this would be illegal. Has anything changed in that recommendation?
Mayor, no, there's been no change in that advice. The statute, ARS 9-46306, says, quote, a city or town shall not adopt a moratorium on construction or land development, quote unquote. It's not a moratorium that would enjoin a landlord from eviction, the word that's been used here today, or taking possession of the property. So if a moratorium were adopted following the procedure that the city attorney has outlined, it would still be limited to a moratorium on construction and land development, not a moratorium on eviction.
I think that's very important. These are very scary times for individuals, and it would be a political stunt to tell people that this vote will help them in the very, very hard situation that they are in. We all here know we are not going to find an issue where we can't supply water to these folks, and to falsely imply that we will is an unfair political stunt at a time where this is very serious issues. And a lot of people are engaging on this in a very meaningful way. Appreciate the legislature passing Representative Gress's bill and Governor Hobbs signing it. 5 of us have voted to put millions of dollars towards trying to find a solution, and staff has been working creatively to think about what we can do. We want to help folks, but we can't do that with stunts. We have to do real policy that is vetted by lawyers and is going to stand up to scrutiny. That is the moral thing to do. Does anyone else have additional comments? Seeing no additional, do you have Councilmember Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. On a second, what Senator Hernandez is saying, there's plenty of situations where we've done that. And again, I know technically you're not preventing these folks from being evicted, but you're creating leverage where they don't have it now. And so where corporations like GCU or others that are trying to evict people have to now sit at the table because they refuse to do so and look these folks in the face so that they can figure something out or buy us time. And that's what we're doing. And so the only political stunt I see is evading a vote and evading the public from comment This is not a political stunt. This would actually be a leverage point. It would be standing with these folks, standing for the only affordable housing that's available or left in this city. And so I think voting for this, it's what the community folks want. It's what they've been asking for. It's what these children, elderly folks need from us. And so I hope we vote yes on moving forward with this.
I have a comment.
Councilwoman Pastor.
I just want to say the political stunt was silencing people. And the political stunt, regardless of how this vote goes, the stunt was silencing those that are going to get evicted and those that are going to be homeless and those that are right now sick and in the hospital who are going to find out they don't have a home to go to. That's the political stunt that happened. And regardless, all we're asking for, and I understand you haven't, as a lawyer, you're advising us and saying, no, don't do this. But as a council and taking a risk to at least get the people to the table to ask for more time, that's what you do. But Mayor, I would like you to bring these people to the table, and I would like you to bring the homeowners to the table of the land so that then you can have the dialogue with them and ask for more time versus seeing them homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. We have heard nearly 7 hours of public comment on this topic, which was powerful and important. And I think everyone on this council has expressed very clearly they feel deeply for the people who are experiencing this important challenge, and that's why we're trying to find real solutions. Leverage won't mean much. Leverage won't mean much if people are unhoused. And that's why we have to stop with illegal motions that won't work to stop the problem and instead marshal resources to helping people get housing ahead of summer. That is what we did when we passed the funding. Does anyone?
Mayor.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Can I ask the city manager to ask police to quit escorting people out if they're speaking? It's embarrassing.
Councilwoman Guardado.
So I think this question is for, I think, Jeff or Lori. How many beds and vouchers do we have available right now?
Mayor, members of the council, I'm going to ask Gina Montes to come up to the table to speak more specifically to the vouchers. Regarding beds, are you speaking to shelter beds? Just
Any beds available?
We have very limited shelter beds available on any given night. I'm told typically on a given night we have approximately 20 available beds because the majority of them, as you're aware, are full. But I will ask Gina to speak to the vouchers.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Guardado. In terms of the vouchers and whatever assistance is available, whether that's the three primary sources that we have are the emergency rental assistance funding, the ARPA dollars that we're using for the same purpose as the ERA funding, so for rent, and some of those funds can forward pay rent for folks. So the ERA and ARPA, and the eligibility on those two, the ARPA one specifically has some requirements in terms of status, and ERA is more flexible. In terms of the voucher, that will really depend on whether or not the families qualify, and that one does have a requirement in terms of the legal status. And so for any of them, they will have to go through the eligibility process. I don't have a specific number available in terms of how many can be served. I do know for the ERA we have about $7 million approximately left, and for ARPA funds we have about $2.4 million as of last week, so I don't know exactly to the dollar amount. As far as the availability of beds, I don't have firmly in this moment how many there are available on every single day, on a single day. So as we have needs, we work with our Office of Homeless Solutions to identify the shelters that we most work with, and then any others that are available to find if there are beds available on a single night in terms of if we have a group of people we're trying to find shelter for. In terms of beds, it's a little less than 4,000 total regionally. Some of those have specific purposes. We have fewer that we know are available on any single night, and I apologize, I don't have the exact number in this moment to give to you.
No, I appreciate that. And look, and I appreciate staff. I think everyone here has been working diligently and trying to figure out a solution. So I do appreciate our staff here. I do think that we do have a crisis. We have 800 people from the zone that we have to figure out how we're going to house people there. And now we have another 300 that I think as a city we have to figure out how we're going to house. And it's 1,100 people. And the answer is that we don't have an answer for on how we're going to house these folks and how are we going to move things a little bit faster. And I think that's our reality, right? Our reality is that as much as you guys can work around the clock, like that is a problem. And I think as elected officials, like it is, we did get elected to serve, and we did get elected to try to find solutions to some of these problems. I don't think they're political stunts, right? I would have done this here. I would have done it as a union organizer, trying to find these solutions. And I know that it's uncomfortable, and I know that this is not easy. And I think maybe for someone like me that does come from the same background that a lot of these people that are sitting in the audience, is not uncomfortable for me. And it's not uncomfortable for me to sit through another 7 hours of conversation. That's what we got elected to do. And I think that, I'm sorry to all of you, right, that are being shut down at this moment. But I do think that, I think it's true. We got to be honest with people. And I'm sorry, we don't have a plan for any of you, and we don't intend to have a solution by the time you guys get evicted. And I think up here there's been a lot of us that have tried our best to try to find solutions, to try to challenge the laws. I think as elected officials, it is important to sometimes challenge the laws, especially when we've seen people that have passed away. I know that we've had a few folks that have passed away not knowing if they're going to have a place to stay. And that was very hard to hear. All of the children in the audience that are no longer going to have a place to go to sleep, they're not going to have a bed, and they're still in the middle of a school year. Like, I am really sorry for everything that is happening, but I do think I take my job very, very to heart and try to help everyone. And yes, if they're called political stunts, I guess that's what they're called these days. But for me, it's called serving the people and challenging the laws if we have to try to find solutions or to figure out different ways to bring people to the table to try to do the right thing. And we're in the middle of a crisis. I know that we're all against the wall right now trying to find solutions. So I do thank staff for all of your guys' hard work, and to the families, I'm sorry. I'm still in shock of what just happened here, and I'm not exactly sure what else to say, but sorry to all of the families, but that will not stop me to continue to fight and to push and to challenge if we need to challenge, to making sure that we're able to represent our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's important to note that Trellis testified that they can accommodate anyone if they agreed to services. I want to repeat that one more time. Trellis had shared with us that they can accommodate with everyone and if they agreed to services. And if any elected officials or staff were to encourage people not to accept services, that would be wrong and immoral.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Pastor.
I want to speak to that, since I am deeply involved in that, and Councilman Guardado and Councilman Garcia. I believe today I spoke, everyone has taken services. There were 2 families, maybe 3 families that weren't going to make it by the April 1st deadline, but committed to, and were going to be part of that. I believe I wasn't able to see the letter, but Councilwoman Guardado could probably speak on this, that there was a back and forth of emails between Trellis, GCU, and the lawyers wanting to deny some of the family's services. And what ended up happening is, luckily, the lawyers had all the documentation demonstrating that, yes, they were, that was the agreement. And then between GCU, their lawyers, and Trellis came back and said, okay, they can have services. So I don't think we're playing the political game.
Councilwoman O'Brien.
So this is the most incredibly difficult situation, a perfect storm of sorts where developers have decided to change the use of their land at a time when Phoenix rent rates and housing prices have skyrocketed, making it difficult to find other housing. However, the original vote for this was back in May of 2016 for the GCU property. But at that time, it's my understanding that that passed council unanimously, with no discussion about what should happen with those people who were displaced. And that includes council members who are here today saying we've not done enough. And it is my understanding, too, that GCU and other developers have postponed their dates to change when folks would move out. The original date was October, and then it was later, and then it was the end of May, so we could accommodate the school year. So there's a lot of political stunts by, if that's what we're going to call it, and I don't think that that's what we should be doing up here. We should be working together to find real solutions. So we are not trying to block. It is important for the cities to be able to have the ability to do their zoning and planning for their citizens. But it is disingenuous to say that we have not all been working hard to try to find solutions for these folks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pastor.
I just want to put it on the record. I was here in 2016, and that was my first term. And at that time, at 2016, when this was voted on, I was a yes vote. I also want to state at 2016, there was a plan on trying, because it was going to take 7 years for this property to be developed and to be able to communicate with the community on how it was going to happen. That happened a year ago, May. So if we want to talk about political stunts, which I don't do, anybody that knows me well, I don't do that. So political stunts is silencing people.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Guardado.
So just talking about the 9-0 votes, I think I was not here at that time, and I think that is the reason why I ran for office. Like, I ran for office because of 9-0 votes that did not benefit the community. I think that, yes, votes were happening, and no one was thinking what's going to happen with these people in the future. And I think that's part of the reason why we're having this meeting, the reason we're here, is that, we start asking questions. Councilmember Garcia asked questions. Councilwoman Pastor asked questions. I asked questions. The Vice Mayor asked questions. Yes, there's a lot of us that are now on the council that if we are going to take a vote, we have to think about the future and think about the people. And yes, that is the reason why we're here today and we're having this. I don't think these are stunts. I think this is just the result of not thinking of the people in 2016. So yes, shame on people that let this happen. And right now we are trying to find these solutions. And I think it's heartbreaking that we're not letting people like Alondra speak, that can talk about all of the retaliation and all the threats that she has gotten in the last 2 weeks, because she has been a voice to say $5,000 that did GCU extend the time? Yes, they did. But $5,000 is a slap in the face. $5,000 is not enough for these families to even give two months of rent for anyone that's trying to go out there and rent a home. So I think, yes, this is difficult. Yes, I think this is a difficult subject, and it makes it really hard when we're all trying to get to the same place, but we have different ways of getting there. It makes it even more challenging. And we are in the middle of a crisis. And yes, these things are going to happen because we are trying to help people. It's not about me. It's not about my political career. I could care less about my political career. I care about those people that are not going to have a place to stay at the end of May. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, maybe just make a quick comment just for the public to know that, I don't know if you heard me from the very beginning, I said that these individuals that appear that I'm serving with, that I get the pleasure to serve with, they actually believe this. I don't believe any of this is stunt work. I don't. I've talked to Betty enough times to know, and I do believe that they're trying to find every possible way, look under every rock possible to make it work. I just know where your heart is on this. I mean, we just don't always agree on some things, right? So, but from my end of it, I do believe you're trying the best that you can. And, in the real world that everyone lives in, persistence wins. So the more persistent people are, the more likelihood of their success. The first person who gives up is the one who fails at all times. And what the public is seeing here is the way government should be run, quite frankly, is that there should always be a hearty debate. And you're starting to see some people that just really care about what they're doing right now. I've seen this. I've talked to her how many times on this issue? Multiple times. So from my end of it, this is what I'm seeing here as a council member and watching individuals who care about our community and are just trying different ways to get things done. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I'll just add that I am also disappointed that we wasted people's time today. I want to just applaud the residents of the mobile home parks. I think you all have done a very impressive job organizing and fighting for your lives, and I'm just grateful for you for taking the time to have done that over and over again. Definitely heard you loud and clear. I will support the study today just because I want to see every possible avenue explored. I very much respect your legal opinion, but of course I just think, why not take it upon ourselves to do a study and really understand legally what might be possible, even if that answer is what we already expect it to be. I also am very grateful about the $2.5 million emergency fund. Last time we voted on this, it was actually kind of a struggle to get that added to the secondary motion, and I'm glad it was included. And Jeff, I just ask that we do use as much of it as possible for direct cash assistance, for direct down payment assistance. I know there's limitations there as well, like everything else we're talking about, but I hope that you'll take a risk in that regard because it is an emergency, and I think that direct support would be the most useful. And there's a lot of other, I think this, again, testament to the organizing effort. So many residents around the city of Phoenix, businesses, companies, et cetera, now know about this crisis. I've had so many folks reach out to me to offer support and offer help, and we have been working to connect other organizations and entities. Goodwill and Thrive is an example that's reached out about their hotels that they own with 90-day stays, and then they can help get people into affordable housing. They've reached out. They want to help the residents. So I do think that all of this coverage, thanks to the organizing, has made a difference. So again, just to the staff, thank you, and I hope we continue to work with urgency and explore every possible avenue. That's it. So I'll be supporting it, and those are my 2 cents, and thank you all for the work. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Garcia.
Yes.
Guardado.
Yes.
O'Brien.
No.
Pastor.
Yes, yes, yes.
Stark?
No.
Waring?
No.
Ansari?
Yes.
Gallego?
No.
Fails 4-5.
We will next go to item 82. Item 82 is in Councilwoman Pastor's district on the southwest corner of 22nd Street and Indian School. I will turn to Councilwoman Pastor for a motion.
E2.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment on item 82. This is another area or one of the properties that I would say 5 years ago that I worked with the neighbors, that district came to me and said some of the zoning and area that they wanted to redevelop and the box store that wanted to go in there that they were not comfortable with. And so what ended up happening is the developer walked away from that property because of the neighborhood advocacy. And so now on 22nd Street and Indian School, this will be providing housing. And there are more housing going up into that area, and the neighborhood embraced it and said yes. So I make a motion to pass item 82.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio?
Yes.
Garcia? Guardado? O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yes.
Stark? Waring?
Yes.
Ansari?
Yes.
Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
We next go to item 87, which is also in District 4 at the northwest corner of 11th Street in McDowell. We'll turn to Councilwoman Pastor.
Do we have any speakers?
We do have 3 speakers, two in support and 1 neutral.
Okay. Can we hear the speakers first? Or
All right.
should we do a report? I don't know. I'm a little rattled right now.
Okay. Why don't we...
Mayor, I could introduce both items, and if it's at the pleasure of the council, we could hear items 87 and 88 together.
Okay.
So, Mayor, very quickly, Mayor, items 87 and 88 are public hearings for companion items that can be heard together, but will require separate actions. The subject property for both requests is near 11th Street and McDowell Road in Council District 4. Item 87 is a request for a PUD on a 5.16-acre site to rezone several parcels to a PUD and a portion of property to a PUD with historic preservation overlay. Item 88 is an amendment to the neighborhood conservation plan for the Coronado neighborhood that points to the PUD for standards on the subject parcel. The Encanto VPC recommended approval of both requests at their January meeting. The Historic Preservation Commission recommended approval at their February meeting. The Planning Commission approved both requests at their March meeting. Staff recommends approval of item 87 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related ordinance. Staff recommends approval of item 88 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adoption of the related ordinance. Mayor, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that good introduction. We'll open the public hearing. We have 2 speakers in support and 1 marked neutral. We will begin with Ed Drummond, followed by Paul Gilbert, followed by Sarah Jones.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is Ed Drummond. I'm a merchant on the Mile. The Mile is essentially the Miracle Mile that extends from 7th Street to the 51 freeway. And my business, we're a real estate brokerage. We've been here since 2014. We love the area. And through the work that we've done on the street, through our friends on the Mile who are in support of us as the Merchants Association, what we've longed to see are people on the street walking and using us, the merchants, their businesses, and supporting us. What we'd love to see on the Mile, in which this is a great supporter, is it really helps in bringing more people to the area to then support the local businesses so we can keep this place local and as cool as it can be. We really support the Fairfield project as they have really listened to the community more than other projects that I've heard of or seen in the area. And then also, I love that they're in support of keeping the 7 current structures, the current houses that are in the area as and not planning on taking those down. So overall, the Merchants Association and my business, we really support the project and are looking forward to it being approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Gilbert, followed by Sarah.
Mayor, my name is Paul Gilbert, 701 North 44th Street. I represent the developer. We're here with a recommendation of approval from every single recommending agency. We have virtually no immediate neighborhood opposition, and accordingly, I'll make my remarks brief and urge you to follow the recommendation of all your recommending agencies. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Final testimony will be from Sarah.
Hi, thank you. My name is Sarah Jones. I live at 1801 North Dayton. I am directly north of this proposed development. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to both Fairfield and also to the representative, that Busen Gilbert, and Representative or Councilwoman Laura Pastor. I think you've all been really great in listening to the neighborhood, taking into consideration our concerns about this. As I'm probably one of the closest neighborhood, Fairfield has been exceptionally great in working with me to brainstorm and try to address some ways to mediate some of the negative impact that might come. Ed McCoy was just out today kind of talking with me through some potential strategies. I would say I'm certainly not, I'm in no way an elected or representative of the neighborhood, but one of the biggest concerns that we had and a lot of my neighbors had was the potential for overflow parking and traffic into the neighborhood. I know they have adjusted the parking and that is within the realm of kind of Phoenix standards, but I do think there's still a lot of concern about that. We had at one point suggested the possibility of closing streets if there indeed was a flow. I believe that Fairfield was open to this, but the city had indicated that that was not a possibility. So I am in support of the program. I'm appreciative of the work that has been done, but I would ask that if the concerns do come to an issue where there is significant overflow parking or excessive traffic into the neighborhood, that the city, that the council and the city would commit to exploring options to address that, including the potential to close the street, among other different potential fixes for that solution. So I think that's for many of us is the biggest. My fiance was previously owned a home in Tempe and had a similar situation and feels very strongly, feels like the overflow parking really did kind of destroy the community feel, and so feels rather strongly about that. And I do have concerns. So I would just ask that they would potentially consider different things to try to remediate if that does become an issue.
Thank you. That concludes the public hearing on 87 and 88. I will turn to Councilwoman Pastor.
Yes. I first want to thank the community. And the community really showed up on this project. It's in the Coronado district, and Coronado has, it's pretty eclectic, and it's a historic district. And there were a lot of concerns around this project, and it was delayed for quite some time in order to get it right. And so I believe we're there and we got it right. It's a mixed-use development with the retention of 7 historically designed single-family homes. And that's what was really the most contentious, other than traffic and height, to save the 7 homes. And I worked with the community diligently on trying to save the homes, and we did it. And on top of that, not only saving them, they're going to be livable. So that's what's exciting and great about this project. The other piece is the PUD limits tallest portions of the building along McDowell Road. There's minimum requirements for art and commercial use on the ground floor, minimum requirements for EV charging, requirement for traffic mitigation along Dayton Street. And I wanted to know, Josh, as we were listening to Sarah, if there are some issues having traffic flowing, parking and traffic flowing through, that they have to come back, or we come with a solution to this from the city side to be able to mitigate that.
Mayor, Councilwoman Pastor, there are stipulations as a condition of the PD. Stipulation number 7 specifically requires a traffic impact statement.
Okay.
That the developer will be required to adhere to the results of that. Stipulation number 6 requires the developer to contribute funds for a crossing on McDowell Road. And as you mentioned just now, there's stipulation number 9 requires the developer to pursue traffic mitigation on Dayton. Couple that with the fact that the driveways are limited to where they are on Dayton 11th near McDowell, and that the site is meeting the minimum parking requirements. So to answer your question specifically, if the study comes back and shows and demonstrates that there will be issues, they'll have to respond to that with our street transportation department.
Okay, thank you. And the project had a lot of support from neighbors. The business community, as you heard, Miracle Mile. Miracle Mile, when I first entered office, was we wanted to revitalize that area, and we're seeing that happen today. That's also where Trellis is located, so I work very closely with Trellis on the Miracle Mile piece. It passed through the Encanto Planning Committee, Historic Preservation Commission, and the Planning Commission. So I make a motion to approve Z2 22-4 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
We next move to item 88. Councilwoman Pastor.
Is it okay?
Would you like to move to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related ordinance?
Yes, because I have two. Huh. Okay, I'm getting confused because I read about 88. All right, thank you. Motion to approve Z1522-4 is related to this item and will most likely be heard at the same time. Motion to approve Z15-22-4 per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt related ordinance.
Second.
Thank you. What I want to say is in this process, this was a very unique process I've learned through zoning through my time here, is that there was some discussion amongst the community about architecture and what it would look and how it would blend into a historic area and what does that look like in connectivity. So I got clever and smart because everybody comes to me and says, well, make a decision. And I said, no, this is the community's decision. So I threw the architecture, the two pieces of architecture or what it would look like in a very modern and then a very historic way, back out to the Planning Commission so that they could have the discussion and that the community could go and discuss it with the Encanto Village. Encanto Village chose not to choose which one they like. It was one or two. They said, we want to take that back to the councilwoman. However, the Planning Commission engaged, and with the community and those that lived within that area, they selected what they wanted within that area. And so I'm very proud that that process worked. I was testing it, and I think I'll do it in the future because then it's really a truly community engagement along with those making decisions. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
We next move to item 89, the southeast corner of 9th Avenue and Fillmore Street. We'll begin with a staff presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have a few slides to present on item 89 while those are brought up. Item 89 is a request to rezone a 3.24-acre site near 9th Avenue in Fillmore in Council District 7 from C3 CMOD to the Walkable Urban Code T55 Transect and T55 Capital Mall Overlay District to allow for a multifamily residential project. Thank you so much. Whoops.
I move that item.
Skip ahead to that. Mayor, members of the council, here is an aerial of the site, right at 9th and Fillmore, and then a snapshot of the surrounding zoning of the area. With me today is Sarah Stockham. Sarah is a supervisor on our long-range planning team, and has really been our lead for us in working with Council District 7, the developer and the applicant, and the community on this, and I'll have her walk you through the changes to the proposal. Thanks, Sarah.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This slide is just showing the site plan so you can get an idea of the building orientation, location. This is a request for multifamily residential, 122 units, 222 parking spaces. When the applicant originally submitted their application, they provided elevations with a modern architecture design. That was back in August. They then resubmitted their elevations in December to incorporate elements of the existing building. You can see the kind of brick incorporation of the arches, the tower elements. This is an image of the current church and the facade on Fillmore Street. Some of the elements in here are highlighted are the brick bell tower, brick arches, and that entryway tower. Those are what the applicant has proposed to preserve, which is highlighted in the memo. The applicant also provided an updated rendering, so you can see how those existing elements would be incorporated into the proposed design. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see how that brick bell tower, the arches, and the entryway would be incorporated. The applicant also submitted an updated site plan calling out those areas that they have agreed to preserve. The Central City Village Planning Committee heard this request on February 13th. They did recommend approval per the staff recommendation by an 8-6 vote. Subsequently, the Planning Commission heard this request on March 2nd. They also recommended approval per the Central City Village Planning Committee recommendation by a 6-1 vote. Staff recommends approval per the April 3rd memo from the Planning and Development Director and adoption of the related ordinance. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Seeing no questions, we'll begin the public hearing. We'll begin with the appellant, Beatrice Moore, followed by the applicant, Shane Essert.
Yes, Ashley Harder is actually going to take the first 5 minutes, and I'm going to follow her.
Okay.
Hello?
That's fine.
We have 10 minutes because we're
So
appealing the
each
planning
side
commission
will have
decision.
10 minutes.
Okay. Ashley?
Do you wish us to tell you when 5 minutes up, or do you want to just continue?
Great.
Works.
That would be
Speakers
great.
takes
Yeah,
all 10
that would
minutes.
be great. That would be great if you could tell us when 5 minutes is up. That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley?
Hello. Hi. Thank you for letting me speak today. I am speaking to this project as a property and business owner near the property and previous developer of an adaptive reuse project that I still own that is in the Triangle neighborhood, as well as I have been engaged with this proposal as the interim executive director with Preserve Phoenix. The historic preservation of the Lesher and Mahoney Sanctuary Building, the colonnades and bell tower have become a central request of the community since this development plan has been proposed. And Preserve Phoenix, along with 6 other organizations, that one being Beatrice Moore's organization, GAMMA, the Arizona Preservation Foundation, Phoenix Historic Neighborhoods Coalition, have all come together to try to be a voice to how can preservation be incorporated into this development plan. This neighborhood has been really unique in that this neighborhood has identified that they would love to have affordable housing in their neighborhood and would love to see this site be affordable housing. That is not a part of this application. And without getting, the affordable housing or artist housing that the neighborhood has really desired, they really wanted to see that a church, which is an 80-year-old, it's been in the neighborhood for 80 years old. They wanted to see it be preserved and have a part of their history, incorporated into new development. This is a precedent-setting project. This will be the first within this neighborhood. It'll be the first zoning to WU code, and the neighborhood really wanted to be having a voice in what the community vision is for new development in the neighborhood. So I, have spoken in opposition at previous at planning meetings, and today I am supporting the stipulations that have been created by planners and District 7 Council Office, and because I am so appreciative of the process that all parties have participated in to be able to get this compromise put together, and to be able to have some reasonable stipulations. Unfortunately, the demo permit was already extended before this zoning case was heard. And so, I would just ask that, as a courtesy really to this neighborhood, that the developer new owner of this property would understand that this is important to the neighbors, to see as much of this property preserved and to not demo it until a building permit is obtained. But I do want to thank just Councilwoman Ansari's office and the planners and everybody that has been involved in listening to the community and putting some stipulations together. It's not ideal for this community's vision of what they would like to see, and that would be the entirety of the sanctuary preserved. However, it is a step closer to that vision, and we are in support of finding solutions for our housing issues as well as finding some preservation solutions. So I will yield the rest of my time to Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Ashley. My name is Beatrice Moore. I'm the Director of Grand Avenue Arts and Preservation. First of all, I want to thank our council office for their due diligence in working with the community and with the developer and the church to try to come up with some kind of reasonable solution and to create stipulations that would create a better project design-wise and also include a portion that would be adaptive reuse. I am in support of preserving the colonnades and the bell tower. However, the sanctuary, I'm going to have to say, Grand Avenue Arts and Preservation can't support that particular stipulation because the majority of the sanctuary would be demolished. And the sanctuary is historically significant. It's actually the nicest building on the whole property. We've said from the beginning, we don't care if the other buildings are torn down, but the sanctuary is something that should be prized. And it's also a reference to the 80 years of church history that took place at that site before Mercy Hill came in 8 years ago. So that being said, I want to touch on a few other points, and that is that we've heard rumors that a search for a new developer once the rezoning is awarded is going to take place. And we're hopeful that another developer with more tools in his or her toolkit will see the value in preserving the entire sanctuary. And this is basically the most significant visual landmark at the site and could turn it into a functional showcase of adaptive reuse. So saying that we don't want the sanctuary turned down until these folks have their building permits would preserve the sanctuary for developers whose a little bit more creative and who can actually visualize what an adaptive reuse project would do to enhance their whole development. With the additional value added to this property via the WU code, hopefully the church and who have worked hand in hand with the developer, hopefully they will choose to contribute some of that largesse to the community at large by encouraging this adaptive reuse project in the future. I want to ask a few questions. Where is the affordable housing in this project? In a neighborhood who has said repeatedly they would embrace affordable housing, they keep saying $1,400 for a studio apartment is affordable. That's just absolutely not true. We just heard all those people out there that are getting pushed out of their homes. We need affordable housing. We're a neighborhood who want affordable housing. Why is the planning department encouraging the WU code to creep into the interior of a small-scale residential neighborhoods that are already fragile and at risk of development pressure? We have affordable housing here now. A lot of these folks are going to start getting pushed out as well. This will be the first 4-story multifamily residential building in the Oakland University Park neighborhood, which runs from 7th Avenue to 19th Avenue and Van Buren to Roosevelt. We need to seriously think about the impact of these development decisions with community input early on and input that's listened to in order to prevent some of the loss of housing that we're going to be getting that's going to be in addition to what we've already lost. One last thought is that proactive preservation of this unique district has been a gift to the city. We are unpaid planners who have created an organic, interesting area through hard work, dedication, and substantial financial investment. As people who really care about the future of the area, it's our responsibility as stewards to point out potential planning pitfalls that will harm our area moving forward. And that's based on our experience and observation over the last 35, 40 years. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and I hope you'll take some of these things under consideration.
Thank you so much. We will next go to Mr. Essert.
Good afternoon. Is this on? Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Shane Essert. I'm the developer of 9th Avenue in Fillmore. Is the slide going, Josh? What's that? Oh, okay. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Shane Essert. I'm a native Phoenician. I grew up in Phoenix. I've lived here my whole life. I grew up down the street. I've spent a lot of time down in Midtown and downtown growing up. I'm with a multifamily development company called Tremont Group. We're based out of Dallas, and we have 1,000 units across 4 markets in Texas and Arizona. Go to the next slide. I just briefly touch on the project location. It's on the southeast corner of 9th Avenue in Fillmore. Really, I want to get to the heart of this, which is in this room right here, supporting us with these black T-shirts on. But before we get into the specifics, the site we're talking about are outlined in the parcels in green and blue on this slide. They're owned by Mercy Hill Church. And currently, this church campus is in disarray. The buildings are falling apart. They're dilapidated. The maintenance costs of these buildings are driving the church to insolvency. And these costs cannot be covered by tithing alone. And the financial burden can no longer be covered by the church and its congregation. So we have several members of the church here, as well as neighbors and business owners who will speak on behalf of this zoning case today. But really, the church's mission cannot be pursued anymore because of the financial burden that its own campus is placing on it. So the church came to us in an effort to sell a portion of their land, which is outlined in green, to free up cash in order to build a smaller, more efficient space on one of their parcels that they own, to continue their ministry and operations. So I just wanted to give Mayor and Council a brief look at the church here. It's dilapidated. You can see the roofs are falling in. I'm sure some of the members of the church will tell you how bad it's getting tonight or this afternoon. So our proposed use is a 4-story multifamily project. I just have a slide on kind of land use and looking at whether it's an appropriate land use or not. And when you look at the surrounding area, you'll find that it's along a major arterial road. It's 0.4 miles away from the I-10 freeway. It's located in the downtown core. It's surrounded by multifamily and intensive commercial uses. It fits with the general plan, and the neighborhood around it is zoned intensive commercial and high-density residential. So I think it's pretty fair to say that it fits the area zoning, or it's a conforming use. The site is actually zoned today for 133 units across 6 stories, but it's 3 different zoning districts, so it wouldn't be a cohesive plan. So that was our decision to rezone would be to make a more cohesive project. So when we went to rezone, obviously the most important thing is project support. So you're looking at our support here. A lot of our friends couldn't make it, but we went and got our support. We have 112 letters of support from local businesses, local residents, church pastors, church congregation members, and neighborhood groups, as well as the city staff, Historic Preservation Office, Historic Preservation Commission, Central City Planning Committee, and Planning Commission. You'll hear a number of these neighbors and local business owners speak today on behalf of this project, so you can hear from them. But I think most of the people that wake up every morning or go to work every day are sitting in this room, and they're the ones that look at this project, and they're all here in support. So this is just a slide on our community outreach. We've had over 20 meetings with neighborhood groups, and we've knocked on doors and got support letters. So, and from all of that, basically, all of those meetings, as you saw here today, we've changed our concept 4 times. The thing we heard about the most was the preservation of the brick arcades, the bell tower, and the sanctuary, of which, if you go to our latest concept, we've agreed to keep except for the sanctuary structure. So really, I think this will be indistinguishable from the church, apart from a piece of the sanctuary that will no longer be there, but the facade will be kept, and we have stipulated ourselves to that. So just to review, we have a church in need who's all here tonight. We have an appropriate land use. We have 112 letters of support. We've done extensive community outreach. We've determined that we have addressed the community comments, and those have been reflected in our plans. So I will let it go to discussion or other public comment. I'm not sure, but I ask you to support us here today. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go to public comment. We have 1 additional comment in opposition and 22 comments in support. When you registered, there was you could say if you wanted to speak if necessary. And so if you checked yes, typically we would call and see if you want to continue to speak or if someone has already made the points that you wish to make. So first I'll call the people who registered to speak and did not check speak if necessary, and then we'll call folks who said speak if necessary. We'll begin with the 2 virtual speakers. We'll begin with Gail Skeens, followed by in support, followed by Jennifer Cruz in opposition, and then we'll go in chamber to Sherry Alds. And so Sherry, if you want to come towards the microphone, but we'll go to Gail first.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
We can.
Okay, great. I would much prefer to be there in person. I'm 5 days post-surgery, and so I'm here on my bed. So I'm grateful for virtual ability to do this. But thank you, Mayor Gallegos and the City Council members for giving me this opportunity to share with you today. I have been a member of Mercy Hill Church for the past 8.5 years. After I retired from the state of Arizona, After 25 years, I decided it was time to do some real work, and I became the church secretary and have been working with them since then on budget and financial needs. So I can attest to the strain that our church is currently feeling due to all of these repairs. But as a church, our desire is to serve the needs of the people in our neighborhood and to be good community members. Being able to rezone Mercy Hill Church will allow us to sell it to Tremont Group, give us the opportunity to build directly across the street on property that we currently own. This building would be debt-free. It would be environmentally safe. It would be energy efficient. It would have up-to-date electrical, water, sewer pipes, air conditioners that worked, and ceilings that didn't leak. And these are things that happen to us on a daily basis. We have spent more than half of our budget in 2022 for large repairs, and we're on the same trajectory for 2023. If we could have a beautiful new building, which is just a building, I will agree, but it will free us up to be able to do the types of ministries that we really desire. At this point, a lot of times we have to decide on a specific event or opportunity for the neighborhood or the children, or the money that we have to pay to fix a large water main break. So that would eliminate that kind of an issue. I understand the concerns that some of the folks in the neighborhood have about the historic element of Mercy Hill, and I appreciate their passion. I can't tell you how many people I have had come to see me in the last 6 months that are from former churches here. And I want to tell you that the church has not been that is not the original church that was built many, many years ago. The church is about people. It's not a building. Our desire in ministry is to focus on people and be able to help those in our neighborhood in many ways.
Thank you for that important testimony. We'll go to Gail next. I'm sorry, we'll go to Jennifer Cruz next, and then into chambers, Sherry Alds, followed by Ricky.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Cruzy. I'm a homeowner in the neighborhood about a block and a half away from the church. I'm opposing this item because the proposed development doesn't have enough benefit to the current community. There's a lack of affordable housing that our neighborhood needs. We have also been asking for preservation of the historic structures, including the sanctuary. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sherry is next, followed by Ricky, followed by Tyson Cahoon.
Hi there, my name is Sherry Alds. Thank you for hearing us this afternoon. I just really want to speak as an eyewitness of what in the 80 years of history, I've been here for the last 5. I do get the privilege of serving at the church every day alongside my husband and under a nonprofit that our church has that we hold very valuable. I see the best thing happening there is the people, both inside the church and the community that we serve. Our 501c3 is committed to helping the most vulnerable of our community. We see how the change in the physical structure of our building will free us from the heavy weight burden that we've been carrying, to lift us up out of that, and to be able to free us to serve even more intentionally our people, which we are confident is our best asset. And so thank you for serving our city. I hope that you'll vote favorably to this. We're excited, actually was looking forward to coming today in hopes that you would give a favorable vote to help us to move forward. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ricky is next, followed by Tyson, followed by Joe Callahan.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. I am also in favor for this rezoning. Have the flyers that we're giving out, that we're inviting ones to Mercy Hill Church. You see many members that are here that represent who we are. I am so thankful that we are not brick and mortar, that we have souls. And I have the privilege, I am bivocational. Majority of our pastors are bivocational. I have lived here for almost 10 years, and 2014 is whenever I moved here, and I've become a part of the community. I remember being in the local watering hole. I'm from South Georgia, if you couldn't tell, from the South, and was in a local watering hole, and I was clicking my heels, and I said, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And the Lord helped me to realize this is home, Phoenix, Arizona, and have a privilege of working in hospice, and was able to go in to a man that was transitioning today, and I was able to share the love of Jesus with him. And this is one of many things that Jesus brings to us, is life and compassion and grace. I've heard it so many times here already today. And we want to stay in our community and want to continue to give mercy ministries where we're at. And so please help us do that. Help us equitize the property and continue to be in our community. Thank you so much. And I just wanted you to know that I'm praying more for you as I've been here today than I ever will. So just be aware of that. God bless you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, Tyson and Joe were both marked to speak if necessary. So would you? Okay. Then we will go to Skylar Cook, followed by Anthony Cox. And Anthony Cox, followed by Carla Cox.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Skylar Cook. I'm really excited to be here today. I think one of the key components that I've learned being in this room with you guys today is how important housing is. While I do certainly understand some concerns, this project allows for more housing in an area that doesn't have it. On top of that, I've heard concerns about the church being displaced as well and being removed from the community, and that's very far from the truth. We're so excited to be able to stay in the community, to breathe life into the community. Gail Skeens mentioned that, unfortunately, on a daily basis, we're tried with, do we take care of the building or do we take care of the community? And that's a really unfortunate thing for the church to have to decide when our entire goal is to serve and protect the disconnected inside of our own community. And so I do ask that you support this. There's lots of great support with us. Another key thing that I think is important, the building does look historic. Don't get me wrong, it looks historic, but it is not. And it was not deemed historic, and it has gone through the appropriate tests for that as well, on top of allowing a demolition permit to be given for the facility in and of itself. So I think those are just key things to remember. It looks old, and it is, and it's falling apart. But I do thank you for your time and really hope that you will support us in this mission.
Thank you. Anthony is next, followed by Carla, followed by Mark Dowse.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Anthony Cox. I'm one of the pastors at Mercy Hill Church and live at 512 North 9th Avenue, which is just across the street from the projected site. I just want to say that we care about our neighbors. I think you get a picture of that today from those who are here and who have already spoken. I do want to say that those who oppose the project, we deeply care about. We extend our welcome to them. They are always welcome to press in to Mercy Hill Church. And though we disagree, we do respect their opinions, and we value them as neighbors. We've worked through the hard efforts and working through historic issues. And honestly, we're sorry that we haven't been able to find a compromise that every single person would be happy with. But the struggle and the reality that we face, that you've already heard some of today, is that we do have too much land, and we have too many buildings that are beyond their functional use. With all the deferred maintenance costs, we simply cannot continue to do the same. Something has to be done. We believe we have the right team in place. We're grateful for the Trumont team and all those that have participated in this project. We believe we have the right developer who has demonstrated care and concern for our neighborhood, for our church, and has really developed a quality project that I believe that everyone can be proud about. And I think it's good for our neighborhood, and I hope that you will support us moving forward. Thank you so much.
Way down. And Mark will be followed by Deanna.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Carla Cox, and I live at 512 North 9th Avenue, across the street from the church also. And I am in support of this project. I want to first say thank you to Mr. Essert for the beautiful project that reflects our church building, and for the multiple changes in the project and design that I'm sure were very expensive to meet the wants of the community. I support this project because it will be a blessing to our church family to acquire the needed funds to have a new meeting space where we won't have to worry about the repairs to older buildings that have old plumbing, leaky roofs, spaces that we can no longer use because of roofs collapsing, and other things that cause us to think, how are we going to pay for it? Over these past years, summer months have been the most difficult to stay afloat financially for our church family, and it's like living paycheck to paycheck. Thirdly, I am thankful for our small church family that congregates in this building, but we don't have the funds to continue to band-aid problems that continue to arise. My desire as a member of Mercy Hill Church is to be able to continue to be of support and be of encouragement to the community and our neighbors around us. We love our neighborhood and our neighbors, and we desire to see more human flourishing around us too. Approving this project will contribute to just that. So please help support this project, as it will in return be a support to the mission of Mercy Hill Church. Thank you so much for your time.
So we'll have Mark, Deanna, followed by Cheryl Fulfor.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Mark Dawes. I own Extreme Apparel. I think I'm probably the largest landowner adjacent to the church. Our north end of our building is on Taylor, which is directly across from the church. If you as members or your predecessors, I look at the developments that have happened in the downtown market between 7th Avenue and 7th Street and Van Buren and Roosevelt, and as I go up and down those streets, I'm just marveled at the mix of multifamily unit housing, restaurants, bars, existing housing, front yards that are cut green and everything else. And it's exciting to see what's going on in that quadrant, and exciting to see what Trumont will bring across 7th Avenue. So as a landowner looking at a property that really is in disarray today, and then you look at the renderings up there and see the beautiful trees and the sidewalks that are actually paved and no homeless and stuff like that, it's just an exciting thing for business owners myself. Good friends of ours, Adriana's here from Cosina Adamex. 126 families will give people like myself an opportunity to have 126 more clients that might buy screen printed t-shirts, more people to go to the restaurant, more people to stay at the Egyptian and the Holiday Inn Express that are across the street from us. So we are totally in support of what Shane and Trumont is doing. You then move to Mercy Hills, Anthony, people that have talked here today, Med's coming up, Ricky. These guys are incredible individuals. They could go to church anywhere in this valley. Anthony could go preach anywhere in this valley, and they choose to stay in this community and reach out. And I truly believe that if Christ was here today, he would look at this property and say it is in need of a change. And he would approve Shane's, and he would approve the new church, because with the new church, people will be walking into that sanctuary not knowing why, but being attracted because it's new and it's exciting, and they'll meet these people with great faces and open arms, and it'll just become a better community for all of us. So I ask that you as a council approve this measure and let this move forward. Thank you for our time.
Thank you. Deanna is next, followed by Cheryl, followed by Stuart Joseph.
Hi, Mayor and Council, I just want to ask quick. I know we had 22 people speaking in support. I know that's a lot. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. If it's okay with you, I'd like to just ask that the rest of the people that want to speak can stand up and just show that they're in support. Is that okay?
Thank you. I think you've made a very good case for your project. So
okay, everyone in support, would you please stand up? Thank you.
Thank you. For those of you who are watching online, I would say definitely more than 22 people just stood up. Want to say thank you to everyone for testifying, and thank you to Beatrice Moore and all the folks who have built an amazing, cool neighborhood. We'll turn to the Vice Mayor. Oh, no, I will. close the public hearing and turn to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. To start, I just want to thank everyone on both sides who came out today to advocate for your community and those who spoke virtually. This project is night and day from what was first proposed well over a year ago. And that is honestly thanks to the diligent work of many, many community meetings that we had, walking tours, an open dialogue that took place between the congregation, the developer, the historic preservation community, neighborhood residents, and my office. So thank you all for your work. I'll be blunt. When this development was first presented, it was a generic 5-story apartment building with a giant surface parking lot facing the neighborhood. Now that parking lot is hidden from the street. The design integrates itself into the historic nature of the community. It will have ample shade and street lighting. And after hearing the voices of the neighborhood residents and the Grand Avenue Historic Preservation, and as the mayor mentioned, folks like Beatrice and Ashley who spoke today, we have added stipulations that will preserve the original brick arcade, the brick bell tower, the entryway tower with its large round window, and the sanctuary foyer. So that is a huge win. The new design is absolutely stunning. I know this is not everything that the community asked for, and I do sympathize with those arguments. The ideal version of this project would have preserved the entire sanctuary, but I looked at all sides of the equation when making this decision today. I'm also very moved by the welcoming and service-oriented advocacy of the Mercy Hill congregation. I have had the opportunity to visit several times now, and the work that you all do for our unsheltered residents to provide food boxes and so many other things really means a lot. And I think you witnessed today a meeting where we talked about housing issues and a housing crisis, and the work that you're doing and the housing that this will bring is really needed. The church, Mercy Hill congregation did mention that they do not have enough cash on hand to afford to upkeep what comes and the costs that come with this property. Without selling this property, they would be unable to maintain these critical outreach services in this neighborhood, and I think that's very, very imperative that we take that to heart and that we listen to that. And most importantly for the community at large, I believe this project brings much needed housing to the area. While the projected rents aren't technically affordable in the sense of meeting certain AMI requirements, they are going to be significantly lower cost than the average apartment currently in the downtown area. And we have talked over and over again in council meetings, and it's become a hot topic in every dinner table conversation, I would say, that we are in a housing crisis and we just need diversity of housing stock, and we need to build with urgency. So I think that's a really exciting part about this. Grand Avenue is a very special part of the city, and I'm so glad that our historic preservation team is prioritizing a study of its historic properties for a potential historic commercial district overlay. I'm fully dedicated to seeing this through and making sure that Grand Avenue keeps its unique character while attracting more customers to its vibrant businesses and providing more housing to this area. So I will be approving the zoning case today, but I do again want to make it clear that this is not the version that was approved by the Village Planning Committee or by the Planning Commission, but that it has a specific stipulation to again preserve and integrate that beautiful bell tower, the arcade, and the entryway tower with its iconic round window. Finally, I just will acknowledge that the request that Ashley mentioned around a stipulation that the applicant not proceed with demolition until they receive building permits. Thank you, Josh, for getting me a quick answer about that. I understand that it's not a legally enforceable stipulation because there already is a demo permit. However, I just want to put on the record that I am asking the applicant respect that wish so as to not contribute to the blight of the neighborhood. And with that, I motion to approve per the April 3rd, 2023 memo from the Planning and Development Director and adopt the related ordinance.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pastor? Stark?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Gallego?
Yes.
Passes 7-0.
Thank you. And it's worth noting on today's agenda, we have 1,108 units of housing. So we're doing a lot of work to bring new housing to the city of Phoenix, including the motion that just passed unanimously. We'll pause for a moment for folks to exit. Thank you. We will next move to items 91 and 92, which are companion cases at the southwest corner of State Route 202 and Dobbins. They are in District 7. Councilwoman Ansari, should we go straight to the public hearing, or would you like a staff report?
Straight public
Vice
hearing.
Mayor. We'll open the public hearing. We have one member of the public to testify. Carmen, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mayor and members of council. My name is Carmen Terrell, and I take this personally because I made a vow to myself as well as people to these communities to protect them, even though I don't stay in Laveen. But at the same time, I'm just tired of the city sweeps and the lack of so-called affordable housing, which should be called low-income housing, because of what people have said about the mobile parks and everything else. And I just think that for someone like me to sit on a planning council meeting and hear people that currently stay down there say, we don't want those kind of people there, it was very appalling to me. I'm just tired of the city sweeps. I'm tired of all of this. There has to be a better way, because corporate greed is just ridiculous. It's at an all-time high right now. And I'm livid. And so I just hope that, there could be a solution to this problem, but corporate entities of any kind, especially for this particular area, it's just, no, I don't like it. And I mean, it's not enough water there. It's not enough of nothing. And so I just hope that you all can make that decision on no, because I just don't want nothing ugly to come in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Close the public hearing, and we'll turn to the Vice Mayor first on item 91.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related resolution.
Second.
Any comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio. O'Brien. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
Waring. Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
We next go to item 92, which is the companion item. Vice Mayor.
Motion to approve per the Planning Commission recommendation and adopt the related ordinance.
Second.
Comments? Roll call.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Pastor. Stark.
Yes.
Waring. Ansari.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
That concludes the agendized portion of our meeting. I will turn to our city attorney to announce and explain the final portion, resident citizen comments.
Thank you, Mayor. During citizen comment, members of the public may address the City Council for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The Arizona meeting law permits the City Council to listen to the comments, but prohibits council members from discussing or acting on the matters presented. The citizen comment session is limited to 30 minutes.
Thank you so much. We will begin with Kim Baker, followed by Gracia Beltran.
Mayor, I believe that Kim Baker is in lower council chambers. If we could go to lower council chambers, please.
I don't see. Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Hello.
Excuse me. I've had some challenges, but I'm slowly but surely getting back. I am putting a hold on. A citizen's petition before you, and it's asking by your city manager to investigate what is on the sheet will give more. It will export it for your city attorney. I'm sorry, but I would a response to the city position in a due time. Please do not go beyond the scope. Asking you to find within the scope of time. With this being said, I'm saying thank you, Sam, to the city mayor and the members. Okay, I am giving you the position, and please give me the courtesy of responding to the position. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gracia is next, followed by Sylvia Herrera.
Hola, buenas tardes. No me voy a disculpar por lo sucedido hace momento.
I'm not going to apologize for what happened a minute ago.
Y menos con personas que no quieren escucharnos.
Especially to people that do not want to listen to us.
Y el problema que hay.
And the problem that exists.
Si ustedes decidieron tener este puesto, vienen a escuchar.
If you decided to assume this position, then you came to hear us.
Y pienso que las veces que sean.
And I believe that it should be as many times as necessary.
Y si no, búscate otro puesto donde no tengas que atender a nadie y escuchar a nadie.
And if not, well, find another position where you don't have to take care of anybody or listen to anybody.
Okay. Necesitamos tiempo.
We need time.
Es mucho problema en la vivienda.
There's a lot of problems in the living situation.
Tengo testigos. Mi familia y yo hemos salido a buscar.
I have witnesses. My family and I have gone out to seek somewhere to live.
Mi familia se conforma mi esposo, un hijo y yo.
My family is my husband, one child, and myself.
Fui a ver los departamentos.
I went to look at the apartments.
Una recámara.
One bedroom.
$1,800.
$1,800.
¿Se dan cuenta de la problemática en la que estamos?
Do you realize the problem that we're in?
Sí.
Yes.
Entiendo, no lo pueden solucionar todo.
I understand. You can't find a solution to everything.
Solo necesitamos tiempo.
We just need some time.
Por favor,
Please.
señores del Consejo,
Please, City
entiendan.
Council, understand.
Es un problema grave.
It's a grave problem.
¿Ustedes creen que yo estaría aquí parada una y otra vez?
Do you think I would like to just be here standing once, twice, and another time?
¿Aburriéndolos?
Making
¿Con
you
mi
bored
problema?
with my problem?
No.
No.
No, señores.
No.
No estaría.
I wouldn't be doing that.
Si tuviera el dinero para ir a rentar, ya me hubiera ido.
If I had the money to rent, I would have gone and done it already.
Por favor, más tiempo.
Please, more time.
Pónganse un poquito en nuestro lugar. Sé que muchas personas no lo entienden.
Put yourself in our situation for a little bit. I know that many of you do not understand our situation.
Gracias por su atención y por su tiempo.
Thank you for your attention and time.
Thank you. Sylvia is next, followed by Beatrice Johnson.
Good afternoon, Mayor Gallego, City Council members. I'm Dr. Sylvia Herrera, and out of professional courtesy, you should address me as Dr. Herrera. Today we are here because you have revealed yourself, your true face, after you took off the mask of democracy when you tried to silence the people and the residents of the communities of the mobile home parks. Your decision today clearly showed what side you're on. You're on the side of individual greed over common good. You're on the side of private greed instead of common public good. Don't call yourself public servants if you're not going to serve the public. Are you really concerned about affordable housing and housing security when you try to silence the people that wanted to speak about the most affordable housing that there is in Phoenix? If you don't address the issue, you're skirting the issue. Your legacy will be like Arpaio's. And many reasons, but what you've created is what Arpaio created, and that's a tent city. I don't think you want the city of Phoenix to be known as Tent City when you're pushing people into the street. The residents were here to ask for an extension for the agencies that came to you a couple of weeks ago asking for an extension. The agencies that you're providing money to and funds to were asking for an extension. It takes a long time for those agencies to navigate the system that you've created to assist them. Everybody was asking for that extension, and you have denied that extension. So now you're going to have to deal with a bigger problem because there's going to be more trailer parks that are be in the similar situation, and you're not addressing the issue. So address it, find solutions. We've had set up dialogue and dialogue. We've been here asking for help and asking for direction. And yet there's a lack of leadership, there's a lack of will to address this issue. Now people have seen your true face, and you've taken off that mask of democracy. We will not be silent.
Beatrice is next, followed by Veronica.
It's Beatrice. My name is Beatrice X. Johnson. I am the baby sister of Dorothy Dale Chambers. It's been nearly a year, and our family is still demanding accountability, justice for our beloved Dorothy Dale Chambers and her companion, Joseph Gutierrez. First and foremost, Phoenix lead detective Taryn Campbell never informed our family that our beloved Dorothy was killed, and as a result, our beloved Dorothy laid in the morgue 8 days. We only found out from our weekly welfare checks at Perry Park, near where she was killed. To this date, March 5th, 2023, Detective Taryn Campbell has never called anyone in our family concerning my sister's case. We have been fighting nearly 12 months to make sure Nabasa Pekovic is held accountable for killing 2 human beings with a .031 alcohol, speeding 58 to 60 miles per hour in a 40-mile zone, and zigzagging in and out of traffic and lying all through his interview. On March 1st, 2023, after speaking to Phoenix City Council, a commander by the name of Matthew ran after me to tell me that Nabasa Pekovic was being booked at the very moment into jail. It was around 4:40 p.m. or so, and it was because he had an arraignment on February 2nd, and he failed to appear. Our family immediately began to call to get information about Pekovic's arrest. All the clerks we spoke to were unable to help us because they said they had no information, and the booking number provided by the commander would only light up and go blank. The very first clerk I spoke to told me that his charges were dropped and he was released. I told her his charges cannot be dropped because he had a warrant for 2 deaths and a failure to appear in the 2nd degree, information I received from Commander Matthew. She could not find him by the booking number, but found him when I said his name. On Thursday, March 2nd, 2023, I called Commander Matthew because I asked him for Pekovic's arrest, booking, and release time. He texted, "I'm still in a meeting," but I checked his booking information. He was arrested at 1:30 p.m. on March 1st, 2023. He has the 2 death injury charges as well as a failure to appear in the 2nd degree charge. The commander called me after his meeting. I asked, was Pekovic still in jail? He checked and told me that he was still incarcerated. On Friday, March 3rd, I spoke with City Prosecutor Hillary. I asked her about Pekovic. She said he was booked at 8:30 p.m. He saw a judge and his girlfriend paid bailed him out, but she did not have the information to send me. I asked her when was his next court date. She could not tell me that day. And then she said, I asked did he see the judge, and Hillary said she didn't have that information. How does City Prosecutor Hillary know his girlfriend paid his bail? When is the date? March 5th, 1 month and 3 days later. I have no information. I'm asking the mayor right now to provide that information for our family. It's almost a year. This person has been walking around free after killing 2 homeless, unsheltered individuals walking across the street. And who here is kin to Nabasa Pekovic? Because there is a big, big, big cover-up, and he has not been held accountable, and we couldn't even find him in jail. We will never, ever stop. He's going to be held accountable for killing Dorothy Dale Chambers and Joseph Gutierrez. So the mayor, this is the 2nd time I asked you. I think I saw you a few weeks ago. If you could please provide that information. What time was he arrested? What time was he booked? Did he see a judge? And what time was he released? His court date is supposedly April 26th, the same date as my sister's death.
Thank you. Let me see if we can get you the information about the booking and the date of the court. Veronica next. Señor Navarro próximo. Señor Navarro.
Gracias, soy el señor Navarro.
Thank you, I'm Mr. Navarro.
Solo quiero recordarles que nosotros, la gente,
I just want to remind you that we, the people,
votamos, estuvimos con ustedes.
Voted and were in favor of you.
Y votamos por ustedes cuando nos necesitaron.
And we voted for you when you needed it.
Y cuando ustedes nos pidieron que fuéramos a las urnas a votar, nosotros estábamos ahí para ustedes.
When you asked us to go to the voting booths, we were there and we voted.
Ahora nosotros necesitamos de su ayuda para nosotros.
Now we're asking for your help. We need your help.
Ustedes tienen nuestro problema en sus manos.
You have our problem in your hands.
Solamente necesitamos un poco más de tiempo.
All we need is just a little more time.
Nosotros no queremos quedarnos ahí,
We don't want to stay there.
solo un poco más de tiempo.
We just want a little more time.
Pienso que nosotros les ayudamos a tener la autoridad con nuestro voto, la que hoy tienen.
I believe that we helped you with our vote to gain your authority.
Y ahora necesitamos que la usen en nuestro favor, no en contra de nosotros.
Now we need you to use that authority in our favor, not against us.
En un caso como el nuestro, tan difícil que estamos pasando.
In a case like ours that we're living, it's so difficult.
Muchas gracias desde el fondo de nuestro corazón, de todos nosotros.
Thank you very much from the bottom of all of our hearts.
Y también quiero decirles o preguntarles si alguien se iría a vivir conmigo a la calle, a donde ustedes nos están echando.
So I want to ask you, would one of you come with me and live in the street to where we're headed?
O alguien puede prestarme su yarda de atrás o su porche para que yo me vaya a vivir allí.
Can someone let me stay in their backyard or their porch?
Porque no tengo a dónde ir. Esta es mi casa. Yo tengo mi casa ahí, la compré y no estoy pidiendo mucho, solo un poco más de tiempo para todos nosotros.
And I have nowhere to go. This is my house. I paid for it, and well, we're asking for just a little more time.
Y les agradezco por escucharme.
I appreciate you listening to me.
Y siempre pedimos a Dios que toque su corazón de cada uno de ustedes para que ustedes
And we pray to God that He touch your heart so that each one of you
usen su autoridad en favor de nosotros que lo necesitamos.
use your authority in our favor, that we really need it.
Es verdad que ustedes es muy difícil decirle a la universidad
I know,
que no,
I know it's really hard for you to say no to the university.
porque la universidad tiene mucho dinero y les sirve mucho y nosotros somos pobres.
And the university has a lot of money, and well, we're poor.
Pero confiamos en ustedes
But we trust you
y en su autoridad.
and in your authority.
Y les agradecemos
And we appreciate
su paciencia
your patience
y su amor por sus semejantes.
and your love of your neighbor.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Salvador Reza, followed by Alondra Ruiz.
I don't know if you guys read Spanish or not, but I recommend you read my columns on Prensa Arizona every week. And in this week, I recalled a lullaby by my great-grandma. And I'm going to say it in Spanish and then in English. And the lullaby says, Los maderos de San Juan piden pan y no les dan. Piden queso. Les dan hueso y les cortan el pescuezo. My grandma was trying to prepare me for what was happening. And it says, the loggers of San Juan ask for bread and they don't give it. They ask for cheese and they give them a bone. Then they cut their throat. And that's basically what you're doing to this community. You're cutting their throat. And on the 12th of this month, when Mayor Gallego goes and gives a state of the city, I hope she says that the city is going into dictatorship, where they don't even allow people on the verge of destruction to express themselves. And I hope that she says the state of the city of Phoenix is in shambles, homelessness is out of control, corporate takeovers of poor communities out of control, and the city of Phoenix is becoming a second LA, where they have miles and miles and miles of homelessness. I hope she does that. I doubt it. I'm sure she's going to say all the great things and the great corporate things that are happening and the big things that are happening, but there's an underbelly, and the underbelly will explode. And like Sylvia says, you guys, not all of you, but some of you are doing the same thing that Joe Arpaio did. You're destroying the community, and the community will rise up. In the same way that we took Joe Arpaio down, we'll take down anybody that's destroying our community. Thank you very much.
Alondra is next, followed by Ricardo.
I guess you couldn't silence me after all, because here I am. I felt like I was in a communist country for a minute. It was so gross and so disgusting. All of you that voted for us not to speak today. We weren't here to ask for anything else. We weren't here to ask for anything else except more time. That's it. The eviction already happened. That took place. We know how to read. We got the letter. We were just asking for more time. Even Trellis, who's trying to help us find affordable housing, can't find it for us. They can't find it either. They said that last time in the last meeting we were at here, and we met with them, and they promised three families at Periwinkle that they were going to move their mobile home because it's movable. They haven't done it yet. They told us personally, Michael Trailer himself told us that they haven't been able to find somebody to move them. So at one point, Michael Trailer came and told us at Periwinkle that maybe we were not professional enough, maybe that we didn't know how to look for housing, to leave it up to them who they claim to be professional. And we put some little trust in them, not a lot, some trust. Some residents put trust. I haven't spoken to Trellis or Michael Trailer regarding my situation yet, but we put that trust in, or some of the families put that trust in them, and they can't even move them at all. And then this past week, they're trying to retaliate about my voice, my freedom of speaking, and we got an email saying that because I'm speaking to defend my community against the $5,000 that I don't know why GCU thinks that can save us after we have our home already. $5,000 is nothing. My husband and I were out all weekend looking. We thought we should physically go look because we've been looking online and we haven't been successful in finding a place for ourselves that's affordable according to our income. And we couldn't find anything affordable at all. We weren't asking to stop the eviction. We were just asking for more time so that we can find a place. That's all we were going to do today. And the retaliation that GCU tried to take against me and my husband for speaking out was that they weren't even going to offer us, my husband and I, those $5,000 anymore because we're speaking against them. So I guess I don't have freedom of speech anywhere, and you guys are right there with them, all under agreement, helping those developers.
Ricardo is next, followed by Stephen Sidlovsky.
So many different emotions I'm feeling right now, and it's taking everything in me to remain professional. It really is. Some of you up there on the council know me. Some of you know me very well. Some of you know the work that I do. Councilwoman Vice Mayor Ansari, I knock doors for you. Councilwoman Pastor, I knock doors for you. Organize people to knock doors for you. Thank you to the both of you for not making me regret that today. Mayor Kate, I organized for you, field directed for you, recruited canvassers, trained canvassers, had them go out, knock on doors, got votes for you. An utter disappointment. An utter disappointment. I know some of you on the council, I'm not your constituency. I know some of you don't care about what I have to say or who I represent. But I want to speak for the organization I represent, the Maricopa County Young Democrats, and for the Democrats on this board. I want you to know, don't you dare ever come to us again and ask for help. Don't you dare, because you're not welcome in this space no more. Don't you look for campaign staff with us. Don't you look for canvassers to help ask people to support you, because you don't support people. Your name is going to be so toxic, Kate Gallego. It's going to be so toxic in these spaces, I guarantee you. I guarantee you. I'm looking you in the eyes. I guarantee you. You're not welcomed in our space no more. Don't you dare come to us, ever.
Stephen is next, followed by Miguel Vasquez.
Phoenix City Council and citizens, I am lay brother Stephen Gerard Sidlowski. I hear a lot of very heartfelt talk to everybody tonight. And I am here as a pro-life personhood speaker, but I'm going to postpone that a little bit. I'm going to reach out to the bishop, I think it's Bishop Dolan of Phoenix, and let him know that maybe even some of the churches can come to the rescue with this situation, because I think it's a meeting of the minds and hearts with what's going on in the city of Phoenix, because I have a heart for these families here, but I will share with all of you why I do have that heart. You see, I travel the country speaking on new personhood possibilities where I choose to live simply in my car. And then I think to myself, my goodness, what if a family had to live in their own car for quite a while? What if little children and mothers and fathers had to live in their families? Well, that means that is a crisis. We are certainly in a crisis situation, and our hearts should be reaching out any way possible. We are in Holy Week right now. Of course, Easter Resurrection Sunday is coming up, and soon to be Mother's Day and Father's Day is just around the corner. So I will do whatever I can. I'm going to postpone my personhood discussion to the wonderful mayor and city council. I will let you know that other charter cities in the state of Arizona are learning about it. I will remind all of you that over 4,000 citizens met for the recent March for Life. And of course, these families are a living reflection of that American dream. So we must reach out and continue to reach out in this crisis. I can say quite a few other things, but I'm delighted to be in Arizona. I will let you know that I grew up in the city of Lorain, Ohio. There's a special story connected with Lorain, Ohio to your wonderful state capital of Arizona. The USS Yardarm that flies the American flag and your Arizona flag was preserved in Lorain, Ohio after World War II by Admiral King, who also grew up in Lorain, Ohio. That's my hometown city. I wanted to share that with you. I have a heartfelt connection for all of you because you have that beautiful USS Arizona Yardarm that was preserved from World War II. So there's a little connection going on here. God bless all of you in your continued love and support to help solve the problems in your crisis situation. Jesus loves us all. Thank you very much.
Miguel is next, followed by Board Member Katie Gibson McLean.
Hi, my name is Miguel. I'm a resident at Periwinkle Mobile Home. I'm talking directly to you right now. You can never silence a brown person. You can never say, shut up to a brown person, because we're going to do the opposite. We're going to keep talking. We're going to keep going. Also, GCU, Trellis, you guys, the border, know. We're going to keep fighting. You can never tell us no, because that's like putting gas on the car to keep going. I want to thank Laura Pastor, I'm sorry, Carlos Garcia, and Betty Guardado for all your help. I really appreciate it. I got nothing else to say, nothing nice to say, but I want to thank you guys. Thanks for your time.
We'll go now to virtual comment, and then Marty Winkler.
Good evening. My name is Katie Gibson McLean. I am a resident of District 8, and I'm a school board member on the Creighton Elementary School Board. My family's lived in District 8 for over 70 years. My grandparents raised their family on 15th Avenue in Rozier, and I live on in the house I grew up in near 32nd Street in Oak in the Perry Park area. And I just want to thank, first of all, I know he's not there anymore, but I want to thank Carlos Garcia for his time on this council. I don't believe in all of my years growing up here or in any time that I've ever spoken to my family that anyone's ever said that they've ever been engaged by a city council member. And I've seen that really show through in the things that have happened in my community personally. And that's thanks to all the hard work from Carlos, Adriana, Mariana, and all the other staff and volunteers in District 8 office. He engages with folks who disagree with him. He listens, he responds, even to the needs of folks who may have different opinions. And he's really gotten a lot done, and his office as a whole has gotten a lot done. And I really want to appreciate that out in the open as a constituent. Additionally, I'll say that he may be leaving formally, but he's mobilized a lot of people, and he leaves behind a spirit of morality, of humanization that can't be taken away. And those of us who've been mobilized and worked on so many of these initiatives aren't going anywhere, and will continue to fight these fights. One of those things being that 15 of my students in the Creighton School District will be displaced from the Weldon Court Trailer Park. And I really hope, Ms. Washington, if you're listening, and the rest of you who remain on this council, will do everything in your power, like you're saying right now, to make sure that my 15 students, our 15 students, will have a place to stay and that we can retain them in the Creighton School District. I'm going to hold you to it. I hope you're paying attention to what happened in Chicago. You're not far from that happening to you. I will not stand by and let things change just because there's a different political makeup or new money on this council. I've been a barnacle on y'all for a while, and I'll continue to be. This is where I grew up. This is where my parents grew up, where my family, my cousins, my grandparents made their lives as working class citizens. And I know that I'm engaged in some ways, but living in the neighborhoods where my grandparents raised their family and mine, I know the reason why the rest of my neighbors aren't. And it's because they don't look like me. And I will not stand by and let that happen either. So you may not have me working in any office on initiatives, but I'm definitely going to be here out in the open, and I will hold you to it. And I want to hear something soon, either to me, my district, Ms. Carrillo Dahl, who came to speak to you last time, Mr. Mann, who came to speak to you for my district. If this is true that Trellis is not following its word, I expect this council to follow through and make sure our 15 students have a place to go.
Our final registered speaker is Marty Winkler.
My name is Marty Winkler. I'm an extreme victim of Officer Jason Gillespie.
Even though Carlos Garcia left in disgust early, I'd like to thank him for everything he's done against great opposition. Carlos was strategically forced out by Mayor Gallego when he had done nothing wrong except to try to make Phoenix police accountable. Because of a new Arizona law, the oath office is now basically useless. We might still get a civilian review board with the upcoming DOJ ruling. I know more than anybody what Phoenix police does in unjustified assaults, shootings, and killings. They have done everything in their power to cover up an unspeakable act of violence on an innocent woman in lies and deception, false narratives, corruption, collusion, and conspiracy. Coward Sal DeCiccio has left, but he sought to silence me and blocked me when in violation of free speech of elected officials when I posted my horrific story on his Facebook page several years ago when the 5 Phoenix cops were fired of an innocent unarmed woman almost killed by Jason Gillespie when he inflicted life-threatening permanent disabling injuries when he was enraged because he thought I called the police too many times. He stuck to his story that she fell and cut her head and lost her balance and wasn't even interviewed until 11 months later against Phoenix police policy, and finally admitted he threw me in a straight armbar throw takedown, which was head first to the concrete with multiple horrific throws and blows to 3 sides of my head. 4 fractures to the front and back of my skull, traumatic brain injury, brain hemorrhaging, acute subdural hematoma, extreme eye injury, eye-jaw injuries, and extreme mental trauma. After I simply went to the Circle K to buy lottery tickets, called the police for help, committed no crime until they made something up. The city of Phoenix and Kathleen Weineke Law, has ruthlessly fought my federal lawsuit for over 8.5 years. When Detective Mosley and the Violent Crimes Bureau showed up to my IC room after midnight, they were never shocked or horrified, but colluded and conspired to try to concoct trespassing. Like other cases in the news, in malicious and retaliatory prosecution, after I went to the media, they were ruthlessly trying to get my federal civil rights case dismissed, and a judge found me not guilty. Unbelievably, nothing was done to violent serial predator Jason Gillespie, who Kathleen Weineke said during the last trial he is training new recruits in the police academy, apparently how to bludgeon half to death new grandmothers, fracturing their skulls, traumatic brain injury, and almost losing an eye. Good riddance, Sal DeCiccio. Justice for Marty Winkler.
That concludes today's meeting. We are adjourned.